Oh man. All right, Storm Chasers, we're back for part 2. Now this is the official call-in show, Q&A, whatever you want to call it. You guys hit that link and you can debate with Nate really about anything we talked about today or anything else. I am just here to spectate. You guys are here to debate with him. So
let's do it.
Let me go ahead and get this link in. How you feeling, Nate?
Man, I feel good. A little misunderstood, but I guess that you know, listening is a skill. Not all of us are born with it.
Do you feel some kind of way that they reference your bald head?
Nah. I mean, listen, I'm one with it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't bother me. Listen, you guys, I love myself. I'm good. You know, I don't have to wear, toupees or wigs or anything because, I accept it. When it's time to let it go, you let it go.
How do you feel about it? Because it's getting popular now, even with like dudes doing like the fake braids. It's damn another gnat in
here. Yeah. I mean, I think
it's gonna bother me too.
I think society has just changed in a way now where we're just more accepting to people doing different things and modifying their bodies. I'm old school, that's just not my thing. I don't knock it. You know, I prefer, if we're talking about relationships, I prefer a woman that's pretty natural. I think I love natural beauty. But I don't have an issue with weaves and wigs and things like that, within reason.
What about dudes though doing it though?
I mean, if a guy does it, that's
like I'm going to the DR next week. So if I go to the DR and I got braids like Drake, y'all not gonna say nothing, right? I'm just saying.
You should be accepted and welcomed with open arms because men welcome women to do those things, and so for whatever reason,
they'll drag the hell out.
They drag your ass to here to come. Yeah,
I may do it just to get dragged, just to trend,
just to see, right? No, I mean, I think at the end of the day, people, do what makes you happy. If that's what makes you happy, do what makes you happy. Oh, shout out to Donna. She ready.
Let me say this too. No Cynthia G hate. Cynthia G is not here to defend herself, and y'all know I'm cool with Cynthia, so I don't know why y'all doing that shit, but. Y'all should respect people with opposing views. You don't have to like it. God. All right. Oh God. Yeah, she ain't in here.
Are they dragging Cynthia G?
Yeah, like what are you dragging?
What does Cynthia G talk about? What's her content about? You guys listen, I'm not
he's not privy to it. That's what I sent you her channel, but I almost don't want you to look at it. I kind of want you to just
go. I'll do
you guys just talking.
We'll do that.
But basically, she's Black female empowerment. I think that's the best.
That's dope. Yeah, that's dope.
And she's very intelligent.
Okay. I think
she's very pretty. I like that she's pretty, but
she's pretty.
Yeah,
okay.
So
I don't know what she looks like, but I think people will be shocked as long as people mature and the conversation is good. People are mature with the conversation. There's no issue. Now, if you come up here throwing insults, you guys don't be mad if I get petty back, right?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Listen, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Come on, we're gonna let's have a conversation. Let's have a respectful conversation. If you don't like the things that I say, let's talk about those things. You come up here throwing insults, I'm gonna be petty too. So it's hard for us to really gain some value in a conversation if you come up here arguing. Yeah. So I think it's healthy for us to have a good discussion.
Like coming up saying, "Oh, bald." This man know he bald.
I know I'm bald.
Yeah, come on, man.
And how you know I'm not sensitive? That could have been some, made a brother jump off a roof. Ladies, come on now. Like, why do people think that men don't have feelings?
I will say a lot of women don't know that men suffer from self-image issues.
Absolutely.
And maybe I need to do a video. Maybe that's my responsibility to bring light to that. A lot of men suffer from self-image issues.
Yeah, come on, ladies. Listen, I just I have tough skin, but there are some men who are very, very sensitive about losing hair or they're being short or lacking in girth. I mean, now we just saw the BDLs.
So I'm going to get it. I don't know what to tell y'all. And I'm saying, and you can go to my Twitter. I'm gonna show you everything on Twitter.
We're gonna show y'all before and after.
Yeah. The before is already on Twitter.
That's crazy.
All right, Sheik and Bay.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. How you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. Hey, Storm.
How you doing?
Hey, Nate.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm okay. So I'm on the fence with a lot of stuff because I was raised. My parents were married in the beginning. Um, my dad eventually ended up getting custody of us, me and my sister, because he was in the military, and I guess financially he was doing better than my mother. But I noticed once he started getting more financially stable, he was more, because he was in the military, like the Air Force, and he was more like for himself. Like he really didn't
Mm.
care much about anything but progression in his self. And it seemed like if nobody followed what he wanted to do, they weren't included in the upgrade. So when it comes to black men, sometimes us black women look at it like it is one-sided for you all, because would you consider black people at the top or at the bottom of the
Oh,
total
economic.
poll?
I would say in society at the
Talking about in
bottom.
society,
At
like
the bottom,
economically.
yeah. I
Right.
would.
So
Yeah, definitely, we're
We
at the
ain't running
bottom.
shit.
We ain't
Shit.
running nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. So for like for us to be at the bottom, and then the topic for men is to be like women need to do act accordingly, and women need to do this, and we need more women support, when it's like, okay, y'all should be taking it to the white
Oh,
man with that.
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but
I feel like that's more of y'all problem than us not acting accordingly, because the white man really don't act accordingly ever at all. He's running everything. So I feel like ownership is more of the black man's issue than trying to make a woman act accordingly when you guys are at the bottom. You see?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, see, there's multiple layers to that, and I'll say this. You're correct on one thing. I will say one of the issues though is that there is a divide. There's some form of a division right now between the genders, black men and black women, and that is actually hindering us, right? Division is a tool used to divide, to keep us away from each other so that we can build family, build legacy, build wealth. So the enemy obviously knows that, and so they're attacking black men, they're attacking black women. Now, I think one of the biggest problems, especially with the manosphere, that's a big issue, is that it's more so pushing a hate message.
Right.
So a lot of rhetoric that comes through that manosphere. Again, there's different extremes of it. It was rooted in something initially positive. I could see that, but I think that it's gotten out of hand to a point to where it needs to be structured. You need men to step up and actually bring some truth to the
Right.
conversation. And so, to your point, and I always make this statement, is that it's not just the men, it's both of us. We can't make this thing work without each
Oh, it,
other.
it totally is both of us. But, like you said, the men need to tell the truth and the women need to tell the truth as well, because
Exactly.
a lot of women do fake these relationships for financial benefits, and then
Yeah.
they'll be in a single woman's business telling her what to do to try to deceive the situation to keep what she got going on. And so
Correct.
when you say like, oh, you're not married, you don't need to be in a married person's business. Well, married people need to stay out of single people's business too. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's so much y'all talk about marriage is a business. I mean, all I see in these marriages is people existing. I don't see them flourishing into, like I said, these Caucasians, like how they flourish. They own this stuff
I
with
was
their
I would
wife.
say this, Chicken Bay. I would say this: the married people that I know, they're not happy,
Right.
and the ones that are happy, they have like an open type of marriage.
Exactly.
But let me tell you
That's
why.
just what I've seen. That's
Let me
just what
tell
I've
you
seen.
why, though. I think we've lost the understanding of what marriage is supposed to be. It's not necessarily supposed to be roses and spring flowers.
Mm-mm.
And I think to your point, the reason I made that statement, it wasn't to be insulting when the young lady called in unholy. What was it? Unholy something.
Holy.
I'm sorry. Holy place. That was wrong for me to say that. Shout out to Holy Place. When she called up, but she was coming up being disrespectful. She was being rude and she was throwing insults. You know, and the thing, and I asked her about whether or not she was married, not to be disrespectful, but to bring context to the conversation. You know, we have to be mindful when we're having these discussions. These are very high sensitive topics, right?
It is. But a lot of women too got mental illnesses. A lot of women have seen a lot in their life from men and their mothers, you know, have abused them over men, you know, so it's like a lot of mental illness. And so I feel like when you say you should pick a better man, I mean, some people don't know, like they don't know until it happens, and then it's like, oh,
and you don't know what you
I'm
don't
learning
know.
a lesson from this, you know.
And I'll say, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Correct.
You just don't.
Correct. And I think the problem is that we've gotten too cavalier with dating and relationships. We're not asking the right questions. We're not being patient. We're not really vetting people properly. And this goes for men and women. You know, again, this is supposed to be the most important thing that we do. I think what's happening is we've gotten so far away from traditional values, because traditionally, in a lot of communities, what they do is the man would vet, or the uncle or the brother would help vet these men for their sister or for the daughter.
Yeah, the women too.
And women too. And they did that because they understood how important the process is. I just think that we've gotten too comfortable giving our bodies away to each other without properly understanding who this person is that we're actually mixing and mingling with.
And here's the sad thing: we don't even have families anymore that are close to even do any of that.
Correct.
I didn't have no close family to do nothing like that.
Yeah, it's a lot, and a lot of stuff is being exposed. Like, it's like the game is being exposed. So now it's just seeming like people just are out to swindle you. So like to push the relationship, because I know women that's been, oh my God, like it's all right to brag about your husband and everything, but like don't make it your life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's all you are as a wife. Like you're nothing else. Like you're not even a woman anymore. Like you're just a wife. So like it's women that are really pushing this thing, and men that's like, you're nothing without a husband, you're nothing without a wife. Like,
and that's wrong. And that's wrong.
Did God
and that's wrong. And I think that's the problem, right? What's the issue with the internet right now? You have people who are out here speaking on topics and things of great importance, and they're not qualified to do so.
You got stupid people.
And so, and again, we have a lot of people, just because you can speak is not a sign of intelligence. And we have people who are desperate for information. They come on YouTube and they're living their life through the information that someone's giving them, and they're not even qualified to give that information. So you have someone they're not licensed to talk about these issues. They're not qualified to talk about it. And then they start giving their opinions, and then people are galvanizing around their opinions. And a lot of times their opinions are rooted in their trauma. Their opinions are rooted in their anger or their frustration against women or their frustration against men. And I think the problem is we have to stop pretending like women don't have a section of YouTube or social media where they do the exact same thing that the manosphere is doing. The problem is you have both sides who are really attracting people who have been hurt, people who have pain, and they're actually manipulating that for money. People are making a profit off of this. And so
we don't know. I think the issue is we don't know what is real and what is fake, because a woman that's had traumatic experiences, she wouldn't go seek a male therapist. She would want a female therapist that is empathetic. Men do lack empathy when it comes to certain things. And it's like a woman can sit up there and be like, yeah, man, a dog. Dogs ain't, men ain't this, that. That's not going to hurt you as much as you saying, this woman's crazy. This woman's hard to deal with. Now people are not going to deal with her because you put that on her back, you know? So men's words are worth more than a woman, because y'all run the world. I feel like men play this game where they don't know how America works. Men run the world. Like, I feel like jealousy, where when you say women make more money nowadays, okay, she might make more money than that man, but not every man. I mean, that's a little crazy for people to even want 50-50 and all the bills are in my name. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a lot of stuff that Black men just are feel entitled to. And it's weird because, like I said, and women too, but they play the game of capping for y'all. I feel like they play the game because they cap for y'all a lot.
Well, the problem is, I think, and a lot of people don't like to have this conversation because from what I've seen, and I've been in homes, I've been in our community, I've worked in our community for 13 years, and I've interviewed married couples, kids, the whole 9 yards, and so when I have these conversations, I'm bringing a sense of an experience to the table when we're having these discussions. And one thing that I've noticed is the problem falls on both sides equally, and again, women may do it differently, men may do it differently. The reality is, if we don't solve the problem and come together, we're going to ultimately remove ourselves out of competition in this country.
So how do we stop this stuff? Because if a woman just learns I feel like a woman has learned her lesson when she just stops dating and focuses on herself and her kids and her finances. I feel like that's how she will find herself and she will get whatever she wants out of this world. I don't think that she needs no man to help her. I really, honestly, if she's been through baby daddies and stuff, she don't need no man to tell her nothing. She needs to heal herself. She needs to go to church, talk to a lady that, can tell her the truth, that's lived longer than her, that's been in a marriage, and will tell her it does take a lot. A lot of men back in the day that were married, they'd be like, listen, I just let the women speak. I don't say much or nothing. That's how the men was back in the day. Now it's like a competition. We can't even speak. Like, we can't even say nothing. So
yeah,
it's harder.
It's the problem is we have two separate sides. We can't have honest conversation with each other without insulting each other, without disrespecting each other. No one wants to take the time to listen to understand, right? We both play a role in this situation in some capacity, right? It just may look different, but the reality is we both have to work together to fix it. So the question is, what is it that women are wanting? What is it that men are wanting? How can we fix it? And so I think the biggest issue that we're facing now is communication, right? We insult each other before we hear each other out. We're not willing to hear a difference of opinions, and we're quick to drag one another. And so, again, a lot of people. I'm not a part of the manosphere. I'm not the red pill situation. I'm just a grown man with grown man experience. And so when I'm interviewing people and when I'm actually consulting with families and married couples, the things that they tell me, I hear it, I see it. We got to look at the culture. I keep talking about the culture. People want to avoid it. The reality is we've created a level of dysfunction and we've gotten accustomed to it. You have men that they're not on their purpose. They're out here running the streets, running the seed through the streets. They don't want to settle down. They don't want to be married. A lot of guys don't see value in marriage anymore. You have women who want to,
he ain't got to call me out like that. But that's
my bad.
What is a woman to do if you have men that don't want that? You should focus on yourself.
I agree. But that's why I'm saying this is a cultural problem because this has become the norm, right? This is starting to become the norm. It is a very big problem. And I think we want to focus on blaming people instead of finding out the root and trying to do something about it. It's going to take the men to address the men's issues to help actually mentor the young boys coming up. And it's going to take women to address certain issues and help young women coming up. But we got to be honest about the problems. We got to be honest about the responsibility. And so I think that's where the challenge comes in, because then people try to make this about a competition. We had a young lady come on here earlier and she wanted to make a statement saying that men black men don't have any value. Black men can't compete financially with black women. That's absolutely not true. And so the more we start pushing that rhetoric, all it does is create more division and more hate, And so again, there's an issue. We got social media, right? We got men and women that lack sexual discipline. Nobody wants to talk about that. Right. So we have young men getting young girls pregnant at age 14, 15. Kids are having babies. Right. And they're in no condition to have children. So, we got to talk. We got to start bringing it to the root of the problem and stop. We got grown adults that are, again, in the chat. They'll come up here and they'll stay off topic because people are hurt, right? People are angry. But the reality is, what do we do about the problem? If we can't fix the kids, then all we're going to do is create another generation of problems. So who's willing to stand up and say, listen, the way I did this was wrong. As adults, we know the mistakes that we made. Can we take that information and then start educating the youth coming up and steer them in the right direction?
I agree with that.
I know. I remember. Hold up, she can bake before you answer. I want you to address this comment, Nate. And I can't remember who sent it, so my bad. But they said that wives submit, not a girlfriend. So what is your response?
Absolutely, that's true. That's absolutely true. And that's another thing that we've got mistaken, right? Again, we have people on YouTube who are putting out inaccurate information about relationships. And then you got young kids coming up and then trying to emulate. I heard someone ask me a question about the 3-date rule. A woman, you're supposed to date a woman no more than 3 days. She's supposed to give it up. And they asked me this question directly. And I said, that's ridiculous. I said, where do you get that from? Right? Kevin Samuels. Well, the problem with that is people are taking what they hear from Kevin Samuels and misunderstanding what he's saying. He's talking about grown-ass adults and what grown adults do. So you have adult content being funneled through young adult ears, and they're trying to now emulate a lifestyle that they don't have. So
why are they doing that? Because they know
because they don't have families.
They don't have families.
I will say that too. We as a people, I think we're the only, maybe not, but I feel like we're the only
majority.
Ethnic group
Yeah, we are.
that looks to YouTubers,
someone outside of your family,
as like gospel.
Exactly.
This shit should just be entertainment.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be. I hear dudes out here literally like spit rhetoric of certain YouTubers. Like I'd be like, well, damn.
Yeah, they live in these celebrity lives and they
But men and women do that. Both men and women do the exact same. You have women. So the problem is we are going to YouTube, a place of entertainment, and we're getting information from someone who's not qualified to give it. And then we're now building our world around that. And this is something, again, people ask me these questions because, they feel like I give a very good balanced view on these things. And here's the problem. Too many of us are seeking for information outside of the places that we're supposed to be seeking it, which is our family. And so again, what do? We have to fix the homes. Like all this stuff comes and steers back to the homes.
And what do
so
you
you need an etiquette class?
No. I was going to ask some shit. Well, what do you do when you can't trust your family? Because if your family is highly dysfunctional, I'm not going to be able to change them niggas.
Correct.
Like, I'm not. So it's like I have to go somewhere.
You got to do what you got to do.
Here's the problem with our community. We don't own anything. We don't control anything. And we don't educate our own people. So because we don't have access to education on that level, we can't reverse engineer the problem, right? So let's look at it like this. How do you teach culture? How's culture taught? This is, if you don't have a structured culture, people do what they want to do. And I think that's what we're seeing within our community right now. A lot of women are complaining they can't find good men. A lot of the men are out here wanting to run the streets all day and they want to make multiple babies, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's true. The culture allows that behavior to go on, right? Because again, you have, look at how this cycle happens, right? You have a man and a woman, they get together. They don't really care. It's a one-night stand. She gets pregnant. The man had no intentions of getting her pregnant. He doesn't want to be a father. She then says, well, I'm going to have the kid. I don't believe in abortions. Cool. She has the baby. The man disappears. The baby now is raised on by the single mom. We have a single mother. We have a high single mother, or I would say babies being born out of wedlock rate in our community. It is extremely, extremely high. I believe it's at 75%, meaning that, as you know, approximately 75% of Black women are having children out of wedlock. That is an extremely, extremely high number. That within itself increases the rate of poverty on a household significantly. So you have a lot of women who are manning these households without men and without another source of income, and it's creating a lot of poverty. So now this kid grows up, male or female, without a father that's active or present. What ends up happening to that kid? That kid is being raised by one dynamic. We're talking about a a woman is raising that child. What ends up happening, that child now grows up and then starts to unfortunately, a lot of times repeat the same cycle, because a lot of kids mimic what they see growing up. This is a fact. And so when you multiply this by millions of people at a time, we start to allow this thing to trickle down. Unfortunately, as a single parent, whether male or female, you can't give your undivided attention to that child. And then it opens that child up to the community and the environment that they're in, to be raised and influenced by them, TV, social media, other kids. And so again, you have this absentness of a father.
Okay,
So-
but now I hate to cut you off.
Question. So should women then, knowing that and knowing what's gonna come with being a single parent, should women be like, well, fuck it, I'm not having your baby?
That's what they're doing, and they're mad about it.
So we can't.
They're mad about it, and they're trying to reverse it and be like, well, you're not womanly unless you're with a man and have a wife and have kids, and you're in this household with me.
So there's more of a movement with women where they're saying we're taking our rooms back.
Yes.
Rooms, because if you're gonna give me shit for being a single mom anyway, well, I tell you what, I'm just not gonna have
leave
you.
me alone. Leave me.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with the woman.
Y'all can't be happy with that because you wanted to be the man and the woman. The man, you want the title, so do what you need to do as a black man. That's all
that's how it's. But see again, but that's how it's supposed to be, though, right?
We having a problem with that in these days.
Well, no, but the men who want to be fathers and the men who want to be men do not have a problem with that. And I think so. Women are supposed to guard their womb.
They have a problem because we're at the bottom. It doesn't matter if you have a good setup. If everybody is not good in your the culture or your race, you ain't really on shit. And that's basically what us black women are like, dude. Come on now. If I ain't shit, you ain't shit. We in the same race.
Exactly. But the question is, how do you turn it around?
I think the women have started to turn it around by saying, listen, I learned my lesson. I don't want to deal with that anymore.
Exactly.
And they're doing it by themselves. They're getting jobs. They're going back to school. And that's why they're able to earn the money that they're earning, because they're worrying about themselves. They're not worrying about getting this job to get with a man. And the man needs to worry about himself.
Well, that's the whole point. That's what should have been happening from the beginning. So again, that's the mistake, right? The mistake.
That's why it gets irritating.
Well, it shouldn't get
going back to the man. It's not going back to the woman. It's going back to the man every time.
Well, what do you mean it's going back to the man? What do you mean?
It's going back because you just said that's what the man should have been doing. But
no.
I'm saying that's how we fix it. The woman is trying to fix it. She's trying to move on without the man. Y'all don't like that part.
No. The problem is
that's how we fix it. We got to separate for now.
I believe the big issue right now.
We ain't got no money. We gotta just do us for now, and then come.
Here's the thing too.
That's what we need to do.
Well, here's the thing too, y'all really going raw on the first date like that? Y'all, wow.
No, some women are. That's what I'm saying, and it makes it look at like
y'all tripping. Y'all
like
really
going
raw.
I might want dates, right? But just see, there's a woman that might cook every day. Who the man gonna choose? If I want dates all day, and this woman willing to cook for him all night and day,
that's
at that big house that's cooking for him all night and day. He ain't trying to spend money. He's trying to save money.
Well, but she that's the issue that I'm talking about. You have men who are chasing after women for the wrong reasons, right? So when I say there has to be a culture shift, meaning that we have to start educating our men on how to properly interact and deal with women. So again, this is something we're talking about, the miseducation of our community. How do you fix that? How do you get men to start looking at women as women and not property and not a sexual body that they can
stay out their business? Like you want
to stay out their business.
Actually, thank you, Sheik. I want to
go ahead.
You have a good one. It was a good conversation. I want you to go deeper on something, so we have specifics. I can't say that.
Got it.
What kind of sexual discipline should men practice?
Are
we saying men should abstain until they're married? abstain until they're in a committed relationship, use condoms every time you have sex? Like, what type of sexual discipline are we saying?
I would say a little bit of all the above, respectfully, right? So what I'll tell you what I give advice to young men when I'm speaking to them about the issue. You guys, there's a lot of undisciplined sexual behavior that goes on in the community that I was serving. And so when I'd have a conversation with these young men and young women, but in this particular piece about young men, I would tell them that, you need to abstain as long as you can. Always use protection. Don't sleep with a woman that you or don't sleep with a woman that you can't see yourself having children with. Don't sleep with a woman that you can't see yourself marrying. And if you could see marriage with her, then of course, then engage it further. If you can't see yourself marrying her, if you can't see yourself having children with her, then you don't need to be sleeping with her. Unfortunately, a lot of men are validating themselves through sex. And so that's a problem, because when you turn around and ask a man, okay, well, how many women, if a woman has, how many bodies a woman has, if she has X amount of bodies on her, would you marry her? And a lot of guys will be like, oh, she got more than 2, I'm not going to marry her. Yeah, but this same guy's out here bodying 30 women a day.
Right.
So it's very ignorant. And so again, we have a hyper sexualized culture. When you have teenagers, you have girls and boys at the ages of 12, 13 singing Cardi B song about the dangly thing in the back of your throat. And so that's why I don't really understand why we like to pretend like we don't promote sex heavily in our community.
Because that is being promoted to that age group. That is true.
So we are promoting this sexual behavior. We got guys talking about who are teenagers who shouldn't even be having sex, talking about throat babies. Before I even heard the song, it was a teenage boy who was singing it and laughing about it. And I said, bro, what are you talking about? Oh, you didn't hear that song about throat babies. We got people on TikTok dancing to the music. So again, I don't understand why we like to try to pretend that, these things aren't being taught and pushed on our young youth kids. You can't, now we're talking about choosing your genders and all this kind of stuff. So we're forcing sex down the throat of kids.
That's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother
get grown for you do all
yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Let me ask you this. Now, this is a whole different perspective. How do you feel about young Black professionals that, whether they're male or female, that decide we don't want children?
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong. If you don't want kids, women aren't.
Because some women feel that way too. They don't want it.
Yeah, not everybody wants to be a parent. Not everybody wants to be a parent. Not everybody wants to be married. Why are we shaming people for not wanting those things? That's a personal, individual choice.
Yeah, because they shamed me this weekend. Let's talk about it, people. I got so many. You do them things on IG where you say, ask me anything or whatever.
I need to start doing that on mine.
Do it. It's good engagement.
All right.
And 60% of the damn questions is, you want to get married? You get married? When you get married? When you start?
Why do you think that is?
I don't know why. I would like for them to tell me why.
Why? But women will look at us and say, "Why are y'all still single? Something must be wrong with y'all." See what I'm saying?
Oh. Well, do we do them like that too? I think we do both like that. If you think.
Well, I think we do both like that. No. The difference is, you have some women. Now I gotta throw some in there. You have some women that are complaining about it. Men are not complaining about it.
You're saying men are not complaining about women.
Men are not complaining about not being married.
Oh, no,
not having kids.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't give a fuck.
But women are complaining. Well, I won't say complaining. Women are having an issue about it and saying it's men's fault. You see what I'm saying? But then what men are saying when they hear the conversation, and I hear the conversation, what I hear is, why is it a man's fault when you get to pick the man that you want? So if you're picking these type of guys, and then what women will say, I heard somebody said it earlier, well, men lie and blah, blah. Okay, people lie. And again, unfortunately, that's the gamble and that's the risk you take with dating.
Damn, is true.
So what? I don't understand where the complaint
You really
is.
don't know what the fuck.
You don't know what you're getting. You got people getting married. They got families on the other side of the damn.
You have motherfuckers that will lie to you for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yep.
You be like, damn, I never knew your ass.
And guess what? That's the risk you take. So it's unfortunate, but that's the. Why are we mad about the reality of life? Why are we getting so? I think we always have these arguments.
We expect heartbreak?
Yeah. I mean, but I think we get to this point where we think everything is supposed to be fair. And see, a lot of men don't deal in fairness. We deal with shit happens, and it is what it is. And I've seen some women really make arguments about fairness. Like, this isn't fair. It wasn't fair that he lied. It wasn't fair that he... No, it's not. But, if he's a dog, he's a loser, and he's an undercover liar, then you have to do your best to make sure you are vetting him at above standard. And you need to abstain or save yourself long enough in order to you figure that out.
Last point before we take another call. Do you think, because a lot of black women feel that down low men, it's an issue. Now, what I told the women on the channel is there are a lot more men out here that are either bisexual or have experimented than will ever admit it. I'm pretty sure that's true. I don't think they might. I mean, maybe they knew, maybe they didn't, but I don't think it's such a number to where women are out of options of men. I think it's alarming and concerning to them. Yeah, but I think they would say so. But I think, though, unfortunately, we live in a country now where there's so many things that are now at one point in time considered unacceptable. People are now accepting. People are now experimenting. People are now doing things. We're accepting of things that at one time was considered taboo. True. You have people now, you think about people are going overseas and changing their entire body. You have people who are changing their entire gender, and you're complaining about someone dibbing and dabbing. The reality is there's so much immoral. I won't say that. There's a lot of immoral things that have been taking place in this country. And it's starting to become more of the norm, unfortunately. And maybe that is our new normal, where people are just like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Someone said something earlier in here. I think is interesting, saying that I'm giving men too many credit, and I would like to know what they say by that. They didn't come up. Yeah. And Donna, when you're added to, bring your data. You were talking about some data earlier. I want to see if you could bring that data up or send it to us. We would like to look at that data you're referring to about men not being as qualified as women. All right, Norris. How you doing, Norris?
Hey.
What's good, Norris?
Two of my favorite YouTubers. Well, my two favorite male YouTubers.
That's what's up. What's good?
Yes, And I want to say to the chat that Nathan, I want to say that Nathan is all that in the bag of chips plus tats. He So like I said, y'all should go check his channel out and listen to his content, subscribe to him because he deserves it.
Thank you.
So I know y'all might disagree with me, but he is amazing to me. So
thank you, Norris. I appreciate that.
What's on your mind tonight, Norris?
Oh, I want to talk about Future and I want to talk about dating. But first, I'm gonna get on Future's head. To me, he's passed around. He's community D. He's a tight braid wearing gutter rat who need to stop having kids.
Facts.
He don't have time for all these kids. Plus, he creating too many broken homes with women that he not gonna be with.
Yes.
And then it's gonna be hard for him to take care of all them kids financially. And them kids gonna grow up to resent him and they might not respect him.
No, Norris, let me ask you this though. What level of responsibility would you give the women who are actually having these babies with them? Because he's on like baby number 9.
Shit, they fucking mind.
Do they have any accountability or responsibility in this situation with him?
Well, I say they said if they know about his other, past baby mamas, then any new ones that get with him, they setting themselves up for failure.
Exactly.
Especially if you know the type of man he is and you heard about his reputation and his character and you decide to get with him, then that's on you.
Exactly.
Just make sure that he strap it up. because he's not gonna take care of you or the baby. Possibly, it's a possibility that's not gonna happen. So just protect your box.
And he clearly can't be strapping it up because it's obvious he wouldn't be getting them pregnant if he was. And I think people always go hard on Future, which I disagree with what he's doing. I agree with everything you just said in reference to him being a menace to our community, just in general. But I also have to put blame on those women who are putting themselves in that position as well. And so that's also a problem. There's plenty of times where we see guys who we know for a fact are doing horrible in life, and they're just out here just wasting or destroying the community, and they're still given opportunities to reproduce. And I think that's a big issue. Nick Cannon is another one, and I know Storm said earlier about these guys are rich, but you got men in our communities they're broke and don't have no money, and they're still having multiple children and things like that. They have no purpose. They don't want to be fathers. They have no desire to be married, and yet women still give them access to their bodies. And so I always argue that, we got to look at both sides and hold both equally accountable. A reckless man can't be reckless by himself.
Yeah, exactly.
If you notice, Lori Harvey did not get pregnant by Future.
She was
smart. She was not doing
sure
that.
Didn't. She
I give
sure
her that.
didn't.
Any last points, Norris?
And then I want to say, to the ladies, if you run into a safety hazard like Future, then you need to run. You need to run for the hills. Sleeping with or hooking up with. And then I want to talk about dating. I want to just say this to everybody. You can't hurry love. You just have to wait. Love don't come easy. It's a game of give and take. So before you jump into a relationship with somebody, get to know them. See if there's any red flags, like any signs of abuse that they, any traits like that they have before you jump into bed or jump into any relationship with them.
Right.
And if you don't see yourself marrying that person, or like you say, getting into a serious relationship with them, then don't have unprotected sex with them.
Don't sleep with them, period.
Yeah, that too, because you setting yourself up potentially to have a child that you don't want. Because children don't ask to be here, so we got to be ready for that.
Exactly.
You should be ready for that responsibility before you jump into it.
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Norris.
Thank you, Norris.
Yeah, y'all have a good night. Thanks for
you. Yeah, Lori Harvey wasn't playing that shit. She wasn't.
So, and this goes back to my point again, where it takes both of us, right? When I was a kid, they had a big emphasis on drugs. They had the DARE program. They made a conscious effort to push that message out. True. Hey, no drugs, don't drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Why they do that? To scare us away from doing drugs. So again, when we talk about what the problem is, we have people having children out, at young ages, 14, 15. We have a lot of hypersexual behavior that's causing issues in our community. We have to make that same concerted effort to educate our people to be more mindful of how we engage with our bodies, because it's rooted in a lot of the problems that we have today. And so, again, it's not an insult to women. It's not an insult to men. It's just the fact that we both have to do better.
You American, right, Nate?
Yeah, I'm not from Africa.
Wait, I don't know if that was a dig or not. I'm gonna just leave that on.
She was probably. That seemed like an honest question.
I'm like, damn, are you Jamaican or something? You didn't say?
Yeah, I'm Jamaican.
Duh. Black Audacity, you Black Audacity.
They're gonna come for me now.
Yeah, they are. All right, you probably listen on the back end. We'll come back to you. Jazz, you're up.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Good. How you doing, Jazz?
How you doing, Jazz?
Doing good. I caught the tail end of the first show, and I just had so many comments that I was like, let me just call in. So I'm glad y'all came back.
Absolutely.
But I'm just going to speak from my perspective and how I feel that we all know what the problems are. If anyone has eyes, we can see that there's a problem between Black men and Black women. But I think we spend so much time debating on what the problems are, pointing fingers, as opposed to trying to figure out there's a problem, so what's the solution? And if we
Exactly.
spent all that time and energy that we go back and forth debating, then we could have some better practices in place. We could see some real change.
Yes.
And that has been from the beginning of time, that we have been pitted, African Americans, Black people, whatever you want to call it, have been pitted against each other. Black women are pitted against each other, Black men are pitted against each other, and now it's between in the home. And
Yep.
so when there's so much trauma, so much conflict, so much negativity and toxicity, it's very hard to step outside of that for one moment, because you have experienced this. We all have experienced this. No matter how great your parents were, no matter the perfect environment that you lived in, Black people, just based on our history, are traumatized. And so we are dealing with this, and it's still affecting us to this day.
Yeah.
It's historical.
Yeah. But and I think there's a couple things that took place, but in the 60s in this country, our marriage rates, families were on point. We were at the top of our game. And I think, we've just started to slowly kind of remove ourselves out of traditional, just out of the traditions. But to your point, that's what I see a lot of, which is very disheartening. And it's sad, because there's so much hate and vitriol against one another, to where, again, we don't take the time to hear each other out. We're still dealing with the trauma or the heartbreak we had, the bad experience we had. And again, men and women both have been traumatized, right, by bad relationships. And so again, the question is, what is the solutions? And I think,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that's what I like to talk about on my channel all the time. I focus only on the solutions. And what I notice is, we always want to go back to the problem. We always want to point blame. But if we're not talking about how to fix it, how to move forward, we know that we have some parents, you might have been raised by your mom, you might have been raised by your dad, you might have been in foster care. And you got to just come out here and get it out the mud. You got to figure out life on your own. You don't have anybody to lean on.
Oh, God.
And so as you're coming through life and you're going through these experiences, you're making poor choices, or you thought you're making good choices and they don't work. You're being manipulated by people on the outside. You get manipulated by your own people who look like you. You don't know who to trust. And so the responsibility is on us to fix our own problems. Meaning that it's going to take our best and our brightest to come together. And you have to have the right type of heart. You have to have integrity and really want to do it for the right reasons and not for money. Too many of our people in our community, they fall to the wayside because they're only after the bag.
Like Black Lives Matter.
Yes, like Black Lives Matter. That's a hot fact.
But and that's because I believe that stuff is happening, though, because we're looking for central. We always looking for some single person to come and save us. It's a savior complex. We need a savior. Our moms didn't save us. My dad didn't save me. It's always about the savior. Be your own savior. I have a quote. I have this in the bio of everything. I tell my team this every day at work. I lead a team and I tell them, stop saying that this person is doing this and I can't do my job because of this and I can't do this. Stop making all those excuses and just be the change that you want to see. That's how it works. If you stop, and I repeat this over and over, be the change that you want to see. If you want better for your life, start doing better. Don't worry about that your husband is not trying to do better. Don't worry about your kids that they're not trying to do better. Because at the end of the day, once they see you,
there you go,
walking different, moving different, acting different, not falling into the same cycles over and over again. And as you rise, because God blesses that. I'm a testament of that. And I see so many other people that have pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and they receive blessings. But what we are so worried about is that person coming back and giving us a hand. No, nobody helped them. So you need to help yourself. And when more and more and more and more of us pop up everywhere, it's going to look crazy that all these Black people are doing well and they have assimilated and really have flipped the game, and your ass is still trifling. But right now we have so much trifling and not enough positive that we put so much weight on these people, these celebrities, these mentors, whoever you want to see. I just spoke with Iyanla Van Zant today. Spoke with her in person. I ran into her. We live in the same area. I ran into her, and that woman I have an affinity for, but she is still a human. She in the stove just like me. She need to mail some stuff out just like me. She's still a human, and people idolize all of these people, whether it's your pastor, whomever, to be superhuman, and they're not.
Exactly.
They're humans just like us. And so again, we'd be like, well, that person don't know. That person don't know. No, they don't know. They know a little bit. But if you just focused on yourself and stop putting the blame every place else, I feel like things will be much better. And it boils down to the biggest issue I see. One of the simplest things is communication.
Yep.
I learned this my first day of getting my degree, which my degree is in communication studies.
Okay.
And the very first day of one of my classes, they said to us that men and women are wired differently. And I'm like, nah, we all human. We all human. And it said it's not about that. Let's just start with the mind. The mind controls everything. Okay. They said that, so this is really simple, that men's brain is like a waffle. It's compartmentalized. So think of how a waffle looks. Women's brain is like spaghetti. It's all mixed together. And so for us, when you just see that, this is the processing. This is what we run on. And so for a woman, we take a lot of things emotionally. We take things personally. We take things offensive. Everything, because all our brain just works that all of that means the same thing. Everything is mixed together, and men are able to separate. They separate. That's how they can have an affair with someone and like, I don't love that bitch. It was just sex, because they have their wife. You and this person are separate. And I do believe that if more people use that compartmentalization and put more logic into life and stop being so caught up in your head, in your heart, and get more into your head, things will be better for you. It's about men have established the boundaries that are necessary to get through this life. If you allow everyone into your space, if you keep rolling all of this stuff together, none of it it's unapproachable. You can't get through life because you are now buried in all of this stuff. But if it was separated and organized like what men have naturally been equipped to do, that us women perceive as damn they cold-hearted or damn this,
well,
they made them like that for a reason. Go ahead.
And I'll let Nate respond, and then we're gonna move on. But thank you, Jazz, for coming up.
No problem. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Jazz is spot on.
I'll let you respond.
Yeah, Jazz, you were spot on. And you know what's so funny? I could say the exact same thing, and nobody want to hear it from me. You know, and that's the exact same thing that I did say. It's about communication. That's so important. You know, and I do understand that, you know, men and women interpret things differently. This is very, very true. And again, when we talk about solutions, what would need to happen? You know, men and women such as yourself who understand the problem would need to really focus on what the core issues is. It's education. You know, education is the most important piece, because with that, we can actually start teaching young kids how to properly go about this thing properly. And so, you know, we have to get a hold of that part, because then even if we can get control over our school systems, we could teach proper history. We can teach proper black culture. We can also, again, remove a lot of the negative things out of the culture and bring shaming back, right? We're shaming certain things that need to be shamed so that we can discourage people, men and women, from doing things that they should not be doing that's actually harmful to us all and to our community.
I want to address this and have you respond.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see a YouTube channel where men teach men things like changing tires, oil, fishing, because there's so many single mothers raising young men and so many men who are insecure because they don't know.
Yeah.
And Tay, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I can't change no tire. I ain't that nigga. I'm calling AAA. I got all kinds of protection because I can't do it. And then I'm bougie. I'm not getting down on the ground. I'm not getting there. I'm not doing
This
it.
guy.
You know, changing oil. I'm not doing that shit. You know, fish, all that. If you throw me out in the woods, what I'm gonna do?
Right. Well, here's the problem. You know, Tay, that's a great question. We do have channels like that. The problem is we have to be interested in wanting to learn those things. Unfortunately, there's a segment of our community. Be careful how I word this.
Yeah.
There's a segment of our community that really just wants to focus on entertainment. My channel is a perfect example of that. I teach the law. I teach about how to have better encounters with the police. I teach our people on how, like, what the situation is supposed to look like, police policies and procedures. And again, where I see the bulk of us, we're on channels that are entertainment. We're on channels where people are fighting.
We like to fuck shit.
And so
somebody with the channel with fuck shit will have 20,000 live viewers versus trying to teach. And the young men have to be open and
to want to learn.
And somebody my age, 29, 30, has to be humble enough to be like, look, I really don't know what I'm doing. Now, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
If you with me in the car and we get a flat, I'm going to Uber you home and then call AAA. Another man's not changing the tire in front of you, so you're not sitting there next to me. I'm going to Uber you back home because he come and he changed that tire. You gonna want to fuck him because that's just what it is. That's just how it is.
Listen, we gotta want this for ourselves.
Ain't gonna make me look bad.
Facts. we gotta want this for ourselves. I think all too often we get caught in this thing where we act as if it's not there. The resources and the information is available. We're not taking advantage of it. You guys, I learned how to trade and
take your ass home, Yoshi. She talking about I'll do it. No, the fuck you won't. Not my shit.
Too often, I learned how to actually invest in the stock market online, and I just learned 4 years ago. But I intentionally sought after looking for it. Right, like I paid $200 and learned, and now I trade, I invest, I have stocks. Right. No one taught me that. No one in my family knows how to do it. I teach my nephews now. I teach everybody in my family. I teach friends the same thing, but no one exposed me to that. I had to want that. I had to seek that. So again, the problem is the information is there. We have to want it. We have to want it. And unfortunately, I was under the impression when I first started YouTube, you guys, I just started last year, the end of last year. And when I learned about the manosphere from being on YouTube, I thought that's what the manosphere was supposed to be about. And there are people. That's what it's supposed to be about. That's what it's supposed to be about. And it seems like it started to shift to turn into a woman bashing ceremony, right? Where people are just talking about how much they hate women and why women are the way that they are and things like that. And I never understood that. But there are people in the manosphere that are giving men advice, young men advice. And it's not about women bashing and things of that nature. And so I just think that unfortunately people saw the money in it, and they roll with that, and they exploited the brokenness or the trauma of some young boys and some young men and old men. Listen, you guys, I'm on YouTube debating these guys that you have issues with, right? So again, I do go in here and I'm checking grown men and young men about their delusions about what relationships are supposed to be like.
And here's the thing that's funny. Kanisha said I can change a tire. My dad told me. You know what's funny? My mom know how to work on cars as old as my dad. They did not teach me at all. We don't want you doing it. You just focus on school. You don't need to know how to do it. You just focus on school. So listen, y'all are dealing with a lot of men that just don't know.
Yeah, don't know.
But don't
want to know.
See, I want to know. But because the male ego is fragile, they're not going to admit it to you. Now, I heard some of y'all say, well, I'll just change the tire. No, the fuck you not.
No, you're not about to embarrass me. Yeah, that's embarrassing. You can't do that.
You are going to get sent home.
That's embarrassing. Could you imagine you had your girl out? I get upset when I pull up at the gas station. I had to check a guy one time. pulled up at the gas station. His girl's pumping the gas.
So bad.
And I drove up next time. I said, hey, bro, ain't you supposed to be pumping the gas? And then I drove off. But he was going to say I was in the cop car. So what are you going to say?
That's true. That's true.
But I hate seeing that. Again, one would argue that maybe it wasn't a big deal to her.
It's a big fucking deal.
It's a big deal for me. But I've noticed, though, as things have gotten more modern, some people aren't really with the chivalry. Like, it's not a big deal. I still hold the door for ladies. I've heard some women don't like that. So
some women don't like that.
Yeah, I had a woman say I can get my own door. I was like, well, damn.
Wow.
Yeah, things have changed, man. Things are not the same. Everything is changing, right? Like, not everybody wants that traditional stuff. You know, walking on the street with a young lady, what I do? Supposed to be on the inside, right? And I try to explain that to her. She's like, I can protect myself. Bruh, it's hard out here in Atlanta.
Who you mean, man? God,
man, please don't let me tell you my story.
I take that back.
Right?
I don't date nobody from Atlanta.
Oh, that's probably my problem.
I don't talk to nobody here.
Chivalry's not dead, man, but women are killing it. All right?
Damn. What's going on, Just Javita?
What's up, Storm? Long time no see.
I know. How you doing?
You know when the last time I talked to you, that little advice I gave you.
Yeah, it was a little while ago.
Yeah, okay. Let me tell you. I didn't got in a relationship since then.
Oh, never mind.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, because you put that thing on. Now, have y'all done it? Now, have y'all done it in the butt yet?
Well, he's standing right here. You want to ask him yourself?
I'm just saying, because I know you said you was here for it.
Look, Jay. He said, "Have we done it in the butt yet?"
He laughing.
I'm just saying.
He said, stop telling my business.
You know what type of freak I am. But now I was calling because I ain't talked to you in so long. Y'all was talking about changing tires and stuff. And so let me tell y'all, we went up to North Carolina. We live here in Atlanta. We went up to North Carolina to go see Silk, Keith Sweat, Monica, 112, all them. On our way back, we caught a flat tire, y'all. Mind you, we only been dating for 6 weeks. I was thinking to myself, if this nigga don't know how to change a motherfucking tire, no, we cannot continue. I say, oh no, if he got to call somebody, let me tell y'all, he changed that motherfucking tire so fast. That shit turned my ass on in that car.
I know you gonna give him the booty right in the car.
You know I gave him some head on the way home. You know I gave him some head. Come on now, Storm.
Where these women at? Oh, I'm never running in on the.
She taking, man. She off the market.
Javita, you got a sister? What's your boy on?
Yeah, I got sisters. Absolutely. I think, but for real though, I think the problem is, I'm gonna take it back. My auntie took it back for me when I was like in my 20s. She said hip hop is gonna ruin Black people.
Yes.
She said it's gonna ruin us. I did not believe her at that time. I didn't. I listened to some motherfucking Luke be shaking everything. But when you listen to those words, people actually take those words seriously. They don't take them lightly. They take them, oh, this is how I'm going to treat a woman. They're not taking it just as entertainment, what it should be taken as. But, and music has influenced a lot, society, fathers not being around. That's why my 16-year-old, he with his father. I can't raise a man. His father needs to raise him. So,
I'm glad that you were selfless enough to understand that, because a lot of women don't get that. I know sometimes the man ain't around, he ain't available, but if he is, he need to have his son. He really do.
And shout out to you for letting him be a father. And I think sometimes women aren't given that credit or that respect. There are some women out here who purposely try to keep their child away from the father because they are, they had a falling out or trying to be spiteful. And it's something that I've seen a lot in our community, and it's very unfortunate. Not every father that's not present is because he doesn't want to be there. So thank you for, shout out to you. That says a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this too, ladies, at the end of the day, I don't care how modern we get, women like masculine men.
True.
Absolutely.
That's why they go for they say Pookie, right? It's the
thug,
masculinity that they're going towards.
True.
Oh, my nigga, shoot this whole place up.
Right.
No, I had a aka Chelsea actually said that about her man. But that's a feeling of protection. So if y'all want them kind of men, then men, y'all gotta stay in y'all kids' lives. Y'all gotta stick around.
Well, the problem here's the problem. The problem is I call that performative masculinity, right? And I say performative because it's not rooted in any real masculine traits, right? You're trying to come off as masculine because you're willing to do violence against someone. You're willing to shoot the club up,
it's
right?
Extreme.
It's extreme. And so, but the areas where those men need to be men at, they're not. Right? So that's the issue. It's very misleading. And so that's something that would have to be addressed and really educated on, and say, hey, that does not make a man a man. His ability to be violent does not make him masculine.
Absolutely.
You know, and in fact, it's his ability to be peaceful and humble are qualities of a real man. So we just have to, and again, to your point, Just Javita, you made us, and I say this all the time on my channel, the music has influenced our culture in a way to where we're starting to emulate what we see on television, what we see from these artists, what we see from, and it's so bad, you know. Case in point, like drill music is a perfect example where we make rap songs about killing one another and actually lay out the exact way it happened and took place, and then wonder why they're getting why they're getting killed. Yeah. So to your point, you made a flawless point. Women want to. You got the young ladies who are trying to emulate the female rappers. Their promiscuous messages or their propensity to want luxury things, you know, and by any means necessary. But here's the funny thing, and I sat back and realized this: the Meg Thee Stallions, the Nickies, Cardi B, even the City Girls, I don't know who, Mulatto, all the ones that's out there, right? Right. They all in relationships, so they tell you to pop your pussy and sell your pussy, and they are all in committed relationships. Right. All of it's not married. Beyonce started it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we unfortunately we created a situation where people make this argument on my channel all the time about it's not rap music, it's not music. I said it is music. Music is influential. And it's spiritual. And so again, when you start repeating these lyrics over your life, you then start to see yourself becoming the same thing that you're rapping about. And that's what makes it dangerous, that we unfortunately, and there's other cultures that listen to our music, but because they're rooted in a foundation, a cultural foundation, they don't allow themselves to be influenced in a way to where it's contradictory to what they've already been taught. They pick it up like a costume and they put it back down.
That's terrible.
We pick it up, we wear it, and then we actually perform our lives through what we see on television. Hey, Yoshi, thank you, Javita, for coming up. You have a good one, all right?
You too, Nate. What's your channel?
Real Nathan Daley on YouTube and on Instagram. Sing your sister.
Women let them fathers raise them boys. Let the fathers raise them boys. Y'all have a good one.
You too, love. You too. Bye-bye. That's man. Let me tell you, I've come across so many fathers that want to be in their child's life, but they're not able to. And they're not able to. And then, you know, the woman will sometimes use the court as leverage to, you know, leverage over the man. I've seen it all. And I think people forget that, you guys, I've actually interviewed, investigated these things. I see it firsthand. And then you have fathers who are just absent and they're not good. They're not worth it. Right. And you just fuck. But I think a lot of times too, you have a group of women who really just don't understand, like, wait, my baby boy does need his father at this age. It's the letting go. It is the letting go that they have an issue with. Because it doesn't make you a bad mom. No. To handle, but it's just like, look, this boy 11. He needs the child doesn't belong to you. Ooh. And I think I tell women that all the time. It's not your child, right? So, you know, a lot of women have a hard time accepting that. It's both of your child. And so, you know, one thing that I noticed, I was working a case one time, and I was interviewing the son. It was a domestic violence situation. I was actually taking the son out of the home, right, with defects. And so I was just cheering him up, just having a conversation with him. And I said, all right, well, get yourself cleaned up. Let's go so we can get up out of here. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, all right, well, I said, well, put a hat on, put a shirt, throw some cologne on, and blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, cool. Well, you guys, he's raised by his mom, right? And the guy that she had a domestic issue with was a boyfriend.
Okay.
So the mother assaulted the boyfriend or whatever. So she was getting arrested, and there was no one.
Damn, the mother assaulted.
Yeah, the mother. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the son was getting removed, and so I was like, hey, put some cologne on. I'm just trying to cheer him up. Young black boy. He takes the cologne, and this is what he does. He sprays it on his wrist, and then he starts doing this with it.
Oh, like mom does.
There you go.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? And so I said,
he didn't know.
Hey, but that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
And so when men can teach boys things that sometimes a woman might not understand to teach, right?
And some things you don't want to talk to your mom about.
Of course.
Like that's another thing too, because I mean, some mothers out there, tell me I don't want to talk to you about that.
Right.
Like, who wants to talk about their erections with their mom? Like, who wants to?
Mom, morning wood. What's this?
Right. Who wants to? All right. Do I use lotion or Vaseline?
Right.
I had a cousin that used Icy Hot once.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was yikes. It was yikes.
I got some Icy Hot on my stuff one time. I tried to do martial arts. So I actually pulled a muscle real bad on my inner thigh, and I put some Icy Hot on it before I went to bed and rolled over, and the joint I was in the sink trying to rinse it off.
It's bad. It's bad. That hot gets hot as fuck.
Yeah.
Ooh. But Yoshi, I'm glad you brought that up. That's the next thing I'm getting into. She said martial arts is a good example for a healthy discipline.
Oh, absolutely.
So your boy learning how to swim.
Yep.
Bodybuilding.
Yep.
Getting the martial arts next. So martial arts, everybody should do it and practice it to some degree. What's going on, Mr. Beck?
I want to say something a little bit different. I'm gonna spin it just a tad. Now, I do believe that the little boys should go with their dad, but I also want to talk about the kids or the little boys that emotionally stop when something traumatic happens. We as Black mothers, Black families, and Black villages, we need to surround these children, not just little boys. The little girls, the little boys, both. I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 next year. But I feel like first thing, the music, yes. But it's music and it's TV. I'm a little old school. I'm a little different. When we was watching TV, they was bleeping hell, ass. They was bleeping the curse words. And it was little words. And we didn't get that. I was at the age where I had to go ask my mama, could I go over to my auntie house and watch the Michael Jackson American Dream? And there was still some scenes in that my mother was like, cover your eyes. And it wasn't even really sexual stuff. So I do think that we are over-sexualizing these children way too soon.
Yes.
Like you said, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and all of them. I like Cardi B and I like Megan Thee Stallion. I do. But I want to see Megan Thee Stallion with some clothes on. Can she come out with a pantsuit on? I'm ready. I'm sorry. Miss
Beck, to your point, the issue isn't even so much about Meg Thee Stallion. It's just that kids have access to that information now. And to your point, when we were growing up, our stuff was censored. You couldn't find this stuff on TV like that. It's so accessible now. Kids are learning about things way before they need to be learning about it. People are talking about the Toy Story movie and how they have an actual same-sex scene on there. And it's a kid's cartoon. So you look at the things that Disney is doing and how they banned that movie from like 14 countries because of that.
Was that wrong?
I mean, that's on America, because we got so much stuff going on with America as a whole. Just look at our food as an example. It's so much stuff in our food that they don't allow in other countries. Subway, for example, just raw. Subway has an additive in their bread that is used in yoga mats. You want to eat that? They don't have that over there. You see what I'm saying? But like, and then pay attention to over here. Cardi B and Megan on the stage on the award show, they was damn near scissoring on the stage, and this is on TV.
They did scissor each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
We didn't have that. But I do want to go back to the father figures. Now I'm giving real talk. The example that I'm showing you, these two children were emotionally damaged by their family. Their mother and their grandmother passed away when they were, we'll say, 17. These two people are now 41 years old. They're twins. They are 41 years old. One does not leave the home except for to go to small stores. She doesn't leave the home at all. 23 hours a day, she in the house, in her bedroom. The other person, he has no facet of human life. We just had a whole situation with this person. He's mad over the fact that his family is like, you need glasses, not a PlayStation 5.
Right.
This is the stuff that we as women are out here dealing with. So it's a lot of stuff that you were saying, and I agree with some stuff, but other stuff, I feel like men gotta step up. It's true for women to do what they, to do what they gotta do or whatever, and we taking back our womb and we taking back our womanhood. Yes, but at some point, the man gotta be responsible. You gotta be responsible as a male, man, whatever, however you want to say it, a person that carries a penis and balls. You have to be responsible for what you're doing, how you're doing it, and all of the above. We as women, I do live in somewhat of a masculine, not all the time, but yes, Storm, I'm sorry, I will get out there and change the tire. Yes, I will. I'm just saying, like, I will. My mama and my daddy, my mama was the worker in our household. My mother got out there and worked. But at the same time, when my mother came home and then she wanted a closet in her bedroom to look a certain way, my mama was IKEA before IKEA came over here. She built a whole closet in her room by her hands. So I can do the same things my mother did. But at the same time, I had a dad in my household. My dad taught me how to cook. So, it's the household. We got to get back to having a village.
Correct.
We need a village. I'm an example. My mama was a little loose. That's on her. That's her business. I got 3 daddies. Jeff was a cook. Wendell is an OG. Gold in his mouth. Low rider. But he still taught me how to be a woman. He taught me how, let that man open that door. Let that man show you how to be a woman. Let that man do what men do. As an example, you know what I'm saying? Alfred, OG, gangster. He taught me, let that man be a man. Don't always be the one to say, well, fuck it, I'm going to change the tire. Let that man struggle and then let him see that you could have changed the tire. Don't just jump out there and do it first. So
let him jump in, Miss Bex.
Miss Bex, let me ask you this, because I think you brought up a good point about the men need to step up, and you're absolutely right. And I think the purpose too of this conversation is to say that men are not doing their part. And that's a problem, because when we start having a cycle of men leaving homes, men not being present, then they're not there to actually educate and teach these boys how to be men. And so we're starting to have this repetitive cycle. But I think one of the things, when you look at a problem, one of the biggest issues is that if you could choose, if you could pick, who would you invest in the majority of your energy into educating and fixing the problem? Would you invest in women, or would you invest in men? And I say that because if we're talking about the issue of sexual discipline, men don't control sex, women do. And so me personally, I would focus on educating the women on basically being more as you would say, protecting and guarding the wound, because a man can't do anything unless a woman allows him to do it. So in your personal opinion, women control and have all the power in saying this. Men simply do what women allow. Would you agree or disagree with that?
That's a heavily weighted question because on one hand I could say, yeah, you're right. Men, men only do what we say they, that they can do to us. But on the other hand, you do have those men that are, violent in nature. Whereas we get the thing now that we're seeing when a man says, "Hey, how you doing?" or whatever, and a woman turns down his advances, they killing women. So, and I live in St. Louis. It's happening all the time.
Well,
so I'm 50-50 thing.
I think, in my personal opinion, I think the problem is so pervasive in our community that we need men to volunteer and actually step up in mentoring young boys. We also need women volunteering and stepping up and mentoring young girls on how to actually properly go about loving themselves, loving their body, and not allowing men to take advantage or manipulate them. But in order for that to work, we would have to address the music. We'd have to address the things that we are actually feeding into our bodies that's causing us to make a lot of these immature decisions or these improper decisions. Because if we have a poll right here and we put what age were men and women having sex at, I think you'd be really surprised at the numbers that we see, and then also on.
And thank you, Mrs. Beck. You have a good one, all right?
Thanks, Ms. Beck.
Can I say one more thing before we hang up? The like you said, we need the women to be, the women to teach women and the men to teach men. Now this is and then I promise I'm gonna hang up. The difference between then and now is this. I'm like I said, I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 next year. I took, like somebody in the comments said, they took an etiquette class. When that's the village. I had a church home, and it doesn't always have to be a church, but that's what it was for me. When you were in the church, we had the girls on one side, and we were doing etiquette. Now, with that etiquette class, it went from A to Z. It was not just, the girls are doing cooking and setting tables and that type of stuff. We did do that, but we had other things as well. Now, on the other hand, you had the boys. The boys were in the group called St. Paul Saturdays. They went and they showed them, and it was nothing but boys. They showed them how to be men. They taught them how to tie ties. They taught them, they let them loose one day in downtown St. Louis, and they had to help people cross the street. They had to teach another little one how to ride a bike. They had those things that are formative for little boys to be men. So I just said that to say this. It's all about the village. And if we get back to the village, a lot of the music and stuff will matter, but it won't matter as much because we have that teaching aspect of going on the other side of what you hear on the radio. So it's a balance of what you hear and what you learn. But I'm gonna hang up and go back to the chat.
All right, now thank you, Mrs. Bex. You know what? They don't have programs like that no more.
Nope. Like you gotta. I think people think I watched them in communities build community centers. I watched them build programs for the summer, and then I see nobody show up. The kids don't want that. I think it sounds good. I'm talking about dealing with kids, young kids. They don't want that. They don't want to be there. You cannot.
Now, are you from Atlanta or are you?
No, just since I've been working.
Since you've been working.
Since I've been working. And so, and your past experience too, we're talking about kids and what they want to do. We're talking about the ones obviously that are at risk, right? We're talking about at-risk teenagers. They want to do what they want to do. Their parents a lot of times don't have any influence or control over them. It's not so simple as to just say, hey, listen to this mentor. It really doesn't work like that. They listen to who they want to listen to. They are listening and paying attention to celebrities. They're listening and following and learning things from the music, and so it's how do you intercede with them? How do you get in between them and stop creating this cycle from repeating itself?
And a lot of them don't even have parents, the mom or the dad. It might be grandma raising them.
Correct.
And she can't
control.
She can't keep up with them.
Yeah, it's hard. It's difficult. But to her point, she makes a good point. Music is extremely influential, man, and I think we downplay how influential it is, along with TV shows.
Sure.
Kids wanting to be what they see on TV. It's she said, Lana says, is it too late? No, it's not too late. We just need to start actively working in the areas to reverse engineer the problem. The way you do that is we got to just start making sacrifices. These shows are unacceptable. We're not going to make them anymore. We're not going to participate in them. You know, you can't name me 3 drug dealing shows with the head drug dealer's wife. But you can name 5 that are Black. And, you know, we put and invest a lot of our time into it. You know, other people don't put their business out there like that. They know that's why they banned Toy Story or Buzz Lightyear from 14 different countries, because of what's inside the show. They understand that stuff is programming. It's conditioning. You watch that stuff. Ozark is one. Shout out to Ozark. But he was an attorney. He's an accountant that turned drug, and he wasn't even a drug dealer. He's an accountant that's laundering money. So again,
that's not a white collar crime.
That's a white collar crime. Yeah. So, Breaking Bad is one, would be a good one, because he was a teacher. Then he started making meth and selling it.
Maybe Sons of Anarchy, but that's more just all kinds of crimes.
That's all types of crimes, but
they were a gang.
They're a gang. So in this situation, what are we really looking at? You have countries that understand how powerful messaging is, visual and audio messaging is. We are ignoring that, and we're not paying attention to that. They won't allow certain movies. If you go I've been in certain countries, they won't even allow you. Movies. Yeah, you can't even pull up Netflix.
Things on the internet.
You can't even access things on the internet because they understand how that actually impacts the mind.
Just like TikTok here, we got all kinds of crazy stuff. But in China, it's all education.
It's all education, you guys. And that is one of the biggest issues. You know, we gotta start filtering out negative content. Everything that comes on TV goes over the airways or music is not healthy for us. It's not healthy for our kids. It's not healthy for our community. Until we understand that, we got to stop supporting that. And when you stop investing and supporting it, then they will stop making it.
Very true. They said, wait, what's into it? Must be some crazy shit.
I'm actually gonna go see it, you guys. I plan on doing a review on it on my channel. But again, we're so pro.
If they whatever you want to be, it must be very explicit.
Wow. They don't want indoctrinating their people on that. They know if you want to destroy a community, you destroy the man. You attack the man, that's how you destroy a community. So of course, if they're promoting stuff like that, emasculating men, then yeah, that's how you pull a community apart.
What's going on? I just kids don't need to be watching them.
It's too young to be watching.
Like, just let them be kids. What's going on, Ayana?
Nothing at all. Can y'all hear me fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I wanted to chime in because I hear everybody basically, well, when I joined, they were talking about future. And I want to know, is it better for a Black man to just create, let's just say hypothetically, 2 kids that he's not there for physically, but there for financially, versus 10? Because like Future, Nick Cannon, NBA Youngboy, they like all in the top running, like for having multiple kids. So is it just bad because it's multiple children, like a surplus, or would it be bad if even if it were just 2?
No, it's bad because it's multiple homes, and you can't. Right. They can't be a dad to that many different homes. Now, if you want some polygamous type stuff, if Nick Cannon was to build a compound and all the women, right, and all the children all lived and grew up together, that's one thing. Like that's what they do out in Utah. That's not what these men are practicing. They just getting anybody pregnant.
Yeah, they. That's a good question. I think sometimes we actually confuse financial stability with emotional stability.
That part.
And just because a person can provide financial resources doesn't mean you're providing the substance of a father, the substance of a parent, and the substance of a core family. And that's what these are essentially what they are doing is creating a series of broken homes. And I think that's one of the biggest issues, like to your point. That does nobody any justice because those kids are going to grow up And though you have a father that's present, he's still absent.
Yeah,
he's still absent.
He's there, but he's not there.
He's there, but he's not there.
Very true.
And then one would have to argue, what is his intentionality in doing that? You know, and I think that's what makes it dangerous, because we have men within our community who don't have the financial resources as Future and Nick Cannon, and they are doing the exact same thing, but they're broke. So, you know what I mean? So again, the kid's still going to come out dysfunctional. Sometimes possibly still come out dysfunctional regardless. And money has nothing to do with it, because when kids are absent of a father or they're absent of a mother, and they're not getting that emotional piece to it, that creates the damage, that creates the trauma that ends up becoming bigger issues when they become adults.
I mean, you got rich people that got kids on drugs and all
absolutely,
kinds of shit.
So, and suicidal and everything like that.
Anything else, Ayana?
Well, no, not on the Nick Cannon part. And I do agree with you guys about the stuff that they see on TV as far as the children go. I feel like they are exposed to a lot of stuff that they should not be exposed to. But I also feel like kind of what you're saying, like as parents, it's our job to monitor what they're watching and what they're consuming. Yeah. And not only that, but I do feel like with the spirituality part of it, whatever you are ingesting, that's what you're going to attract. So we have to be extremely cautious. And I tell my kids, like, sometimes we have to go on a spiritual fast, like unplug from everything that's technology and just have some you time so you can process your thoughts, so you won't have any, I know it's crazy, but mental disease, because we work, we go to school, we just push hour to hour to hour. You need time to unplug and just think with nothing playing in the background.
Yes, you do. Yes,
so I feel like we should push that as a whole, but I won't hold you guys up. That's all I wanted to chime in and say.
Thank you, Ayana. Have a good one. All right.
That was a great question.
That was a great one. Now look, it's getting a little late, so we're gonna take one more.
Oh, damn.
Yo, you want to finish up with what we got? Okay, they got it. Okay, they can't be long-winded though. I gotta eat. I intermittent fast, so I gotta eat.
Oh, is that what it is? I thought you worried about me. I'm like, bring them up. Okay.
All right, so everybody that's coming up, keep your comments 3-4 minutes. Let Nathan respond. We got to move on. We're going to start let's start with Tay Tay. What's going on, Tay Tay?
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, I do like having the doors open for me. So I don't know them ladies that you be meeting, Nate. I'm like, I like when a man holds the door open and, you know, and pays for dinner on the date. So, but I just want to talk about the social engineering, like through media, music. Yes. I think we really underestimate how powerful that is, especially when it comes to children.
Yes.
I feel like sometimes I even ask my friends, like, do you think we need parenting classes? Like before people even start having children, like maybe have parenting classes, like, okay, we need to talk about TV and media, how you need to, you know, filter out certain things, eating, like what foods you should feed your children, discipline, like how should you discipline your child if they do something wrong, like just because I feel like it's so much dysfunction going on in our community, and it's really showing with our children how they're interacting, how we prepare them in the world. So that's all I wanted to say. Like, what do you think? Should we come back with parenting classes, more etiquette classes? What do you think?
I think you bring up a valid point. I think all those things are necessary. And the reason why I say that is because we don't necessarily have a very strong culture in Black America. And when I say that the culture is something that everyone agrees on, right? Yes. Everyone follows a standard of morals and values. We don't have that. It's very, very inconsistent. And so because of that, everybody is coming out here starting families and then trying to reinvent the wheel. And then this is how it impacts us in relationships, because I can take 10 homes of men and 10 homes of women, and each home is going to be raised completely different. Right. And that's the problem. So then when I come across you, Tay Tay, I meet you for the first time, I was raised to take my shoes off when I go in the house. You weren't, right? Mm-hmm. Or I wasn't raised to turn, no one taught me how to change a tire, right? But your dad taught you those things. So we go into a situation where we're lopsided. You have men, you're meeting men who can't bring anything, nothing masculine to the table as he's supposed to traditionally. Right. He can't protect, he can't serve, he can't help. There's nothing he can do besides lay wood. So what ends up happening, you got men out here mastering the art of woodchucking.
Yeah,
and that's all they right. That's all they're good for.
That's all they're good
That's
for.
all they're good for.
Right.
And then you have the same thing with women. All they're good at is they got the box, right?
They just got box.
Yeah. And so what ends up happening, these two people get together and there's no substance, there's no purpose, there's no value, there's no morals. What are you going to teach kids that you're going to have? Right. And so again, how do you teach? We have to reinvent what it means to be Black in this country.
Yes.
We need to reestablish values that we all agree on and then follow them. Whereas we shame men for being reckless sexually, being boys and not willing to grow up, right? Want to sit and play video games, want to sit and run the streets, disrespecting women, right? We need to start shaming women for doing things they have no business doing, throwing their bodies away, being reckless with having children. And again, what do you do? How do you start? It was going to take our best and our brightest to come together and actually start volunteering to repair the dysfunction in our community. Right. That's the only way it's going to work, because again, this was done by design, right? We didn't ask for this. This is actually done by design, and it's very intentional, and it's working and playing out exactly how the enemy wants it to play out. And so they are actually, the enemy is actually feeding in on a lot of our things that we desire most, which is materialism, money, and sex. And once you capitalize on those things, in order for us to get better, we have to actually relinquish those things that we desire most, because those are the same things that are causing us to be causing self-inflictions in our own community.
Thank you, Tay. You have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, I timed that perfectly. Damn, that was 4 minutes exactly. All right, we're going to go to Down the Dash.
Hi, Storm.
Hey.
Hi, Donna.
I'm good. So I disagree with quite a few things. I agree with him, but I disagree with him.
Okay.
I think when he says we, I can see that, he really does have good intentions for the community. And, we need to change stuff, we need to do stuff, right? But, like I said again, I think Black women are working on what they need to do. And I think when we talk about a lot of these issues that center back to the men, I think Black women need to stop helping Black men to fix their issues. I think Black men need to, because dating, I understand that, as the Black community, that's kind of the only thing we have.
No, let's do one point. Let's do 1 point. The first thing you said, I agree with you.
I wasn't finished with my point. I was saying I agree with you about, fixing things and coming together to fix things. I agree with that, but I think Black women need to be left out of that process, because we have so much burdens on our back that I think the things that fall on Black men in terms of the community, the lack of leadership, the lack of resources, the fact that, we kind of depend on white men for everything as a community. I think that's something that Black men solely alone need to deal with. I think that's something that's just on y'all.
Okay. Well, I will say this: it can't be done without Black women, though. I think that's the problem. I think that is the issue. It cannot be done alone. You gotta, and this is how it works. As an investigator, I look at how weapons or how an attack was done on a particular situation, right? When you look at how a person was attacked, you then take that same weapon to actually reverse engineer the problem, if that makes sense. When we look at Willie Lynch, right? We look at how the white slave masters were actually tearing families apart. They went after the Black man, they went after families. So the reality is, if you want to fight this, the concept and the construct of white supremacy, or as you say, the white man, you need families to do that. Men cannot fight this thing or fix this problem without women. I think the problem is men are getting the wrong message out here on YouTube and on the internet, and it's causing a lot of divisive energy between men and women. Women are getting the wrong information, and it's causing a lot of divisive energy. So again, the enemy is actually placating to our division, and it's working. So to your point, a woman should never come here and try to build a man up. That's not her job. you guys were never supposed to be doing that in the first place, right? And
I agree.
When you said that, it made me think about Pastor. What's his name? Pastor Gray, the guy who's been cheating on his wife.
Oh, John Gray.
Yeah,
his fat ass.
And he made a statement. He made a statement saying that my wife held me up and taught me how to be a man. Oh God! Listen, the biggest problem I see in our community with our women is that women are picking guys who don't want the relationship that they're looking for, right? And then they're staying with them way too long after finding out that man is not living up to his expectations. So this is something that I see way too often in our community. Picking wrong, staying way too long, right? So again, it's not your responsibility, it never should be, to raise, educate, or build a man. That's not a woman's job. And
Can I just say something though?
Go ahead.
Willie Lynch is not a real letter. That's not a real thing. That was proven that that's fake. So, you know, and if you read the morning, like it'll explain a lot. Like black men have already the Morning Hand report.
You talking about the Monahan?
Yeah, report.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with the Monahan report.
Black people were married, and that did not fight white supremacy, because when men dominate other men, it's men that liberate their communities, not women. And I do agree with the Morningham report that black men do need to experience benign neglect from black women to push you guys to fight, because it's not, I understand what you're saying, like together. I think black women, when you guys start actually doing something that actually does make a change, yes, support you and be like the cheerleader, but to actively help, no, I don't agree with that. And when you say the choosing thing, like, I understand what you're saying, right? Like when a relationship ain't no good dip, but you also have to understand too, when you look at the statistics, black men are the least educated, the poorest group of men, the most incarcerated. That's not
accurate. That's not accurate.
That is accurate. You can go look it up on the census. There's even a report that says black men cost the U.S. economy $50 billion a year. So I think when you're saying choose better, I kind of understand what you're saying, right? Pick the best mate, but you have to understand where most black women are. And if most black women only date black men, and majority of black men are uneducated, abandoning their families, incarcerated, and have all these bad statistics, you can only really choose from what's there. You know what I'm saying? And
I understand what you're saying. Let me say this, because you have some people who don't want to date in the culture. That's fine. I always tell people, go where you're wanted, go where you're accepted, go where you're loved. If you don't see value in black men, I think that's a personal choice. There's no offense. I don't take offense to it. I don't think anybody in the chat takes offense to it. I think I don't
think you guys are not valuable. I think you guys are very valuable when you want to be, but I think right now you guys aren't, collectively speaking, not necessarily you or Storm, but on a collective.
No, I get what you're saying.
I don't think you guys are doing enough. And there's something else I wanted to address.
Well, hold on, because you said a lot. You said a lot.
Yeah, well, actually, we're gonna have to cut it short because we can't be on here long. Do you want to respond to that? Or did you want me to pull up?
Yeah. So Donna, we got to follow up on this. I think you brought up a lot of good points. But I'm gonna pull something up on the screen to show everybody, and then let's say we do this on the round 2. Donna, thank you though for the info.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Have a good one, Donna.
As you pull that up, let me tell the audience, you guys, if you don't want a black man, if you don't see value in a black man, if you don't think black men are up to par, ladies, there's plenty of a lot of men out here. You got the world to choose from, right? I'm not with that. You gotta go where you're wanted, go where you're happy. Shout out to Donna. I understand what she was trying to say, but it wasn't. What she was saying was grossly inaccurate.
So what we're gonna need to do, and when you come back, hopefully we can get Cynthia G on too.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have you guys go through. This is blackdemographics.com that we just pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
Donna referenced the census.
I think she said census.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you talk about these stats from Black Demographics because you're familiar with that. This is the window right here.
Oh, got it. Let me
we can switch.
All right, cool. Let's switch real quick, you guys. Let's touch on this real quick, because I think this is probably one of the biggest misconceptions. Man, you got to get that double screen, bro. Let me see. Oh, I see what you got. Right here.
Yeah, so they can.
Okay. Listen, you guys, let's look at something real quick. I think Stone, what kind of computer is this? You need a mouse, bro. What kind of operation you got going on?
The mouse ain't connected.
What kind of operation you got
so
going
they
on?
can see you. All you need to do is just activate the tab.
All right, cool.
So just go to the tab. Don't even worry about that.
Oh, will it go by itself?
Yeah, so go over one more. So where you see the little window is the one that's actually showing.
That's right.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna do a different one. I'm gonna open up a different one.
So then just go to whatever tab you want.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I know how to work it. I know how to work this one.
You got
it? Yeah. All right, you guys, let me show you something real quick. Janice, I hope it doesn't date out. No, I love black women. All right, ladies, let's ladies and gentlemen, let's look up. She talked about income. Let's look up income. And then let's go to Chrome tab.
Yep, and then share. Yep, and they can see that.
All right. I'm gonna minimize myself right here. We're looking at income. To what she stated. Someone said last caller speaking facts. She wasn't speaking facts, you guys. Her statements were grossly inaccurate. Let's look at what it says in reference to income in regards to men and women in the black community. If you look at income here, for median income earnings for men, 40,000, median earnings for women, 35,000, and then of course over to the right. Let me see I don't know if you guys can see. Right here for median income, this is for men, 40,000. For females, 35,000. This was in reference to what she said. She's talking about the census. This is taken from the Census Bureau, you guys. This is from Census. Can this highlight?
You can. There you go.
All right. Well, that's cool.
And you can do that.
All right.
And it gets bigger for them.
Cool.
That's what she said.
So listen, you guys. The source of this, according to the last caller, this is why I said what she said was grossly inaccurate. We got to be careful with the information we give and point out on here on stream, you guys. Here's the data taken from the census that she quoted from. Male full-time year-round workers, median income 40,000 approximately, and then right below it, year-round workers for females 35,000, and this is within our community. Listen, we mirror each other a lot, you guys. I don't like getting into this whole conversation because this is not a competition. Right? This is not a competition. And so I think at the end of the day, we got to start looking at things like, how do we fix the problem? We're not here to compete. We're not here to fight. We need to just look at what the solutions are, which is bringing each other back together.
Now that you're showing them that, let me read opposing views as we
go ahead.
Okay. All right. Opposing view number 1. Chocolate Chunks 07 said this is based on the men who actually go to work. so Chocolate Chunks is saying there is a large portion of men who don't even work at all.
Why do you business with the men who don't work? They shouldn't even be in your radar. So why are we even talking? We're not talking about men. There are women who don't work too. Let's not get it confused, you guys. You have bums on both sides of the fence. So let's not have an uneducated conversation. This is not a competition about who's not doing what. She made a statement and said that women out-earn men a lot, and that's not accurate. And so, again, let's deal with the accuracies. We're here now. We're talking about the problem. Let's talk about the solutions.
The Cool Panda said, comparing men to women alone is problematic.
Thank you.
Compare yourself to other groups of men.
That works. And we can compare women to other groups of women, too. Again, we can play the comparison game, but they're not in competition with us. At the end of the day, the reality is we as a group are having a problem. They as a group are not having one. So we can worry about what other people are doing, or we can put blinders on and focus on fixing our own communities.
Donna Dash, thank you for the donation, Donna Dash. She said you can look it up as of 2020. The stats have been updated. We both match at 42K, and we're more employed than black men.
All right, sounds good to me. What's the argument though? Why again?
The argument is that they're harder working than black men. That black women work harder than black men.
Well, then bless your heart. Focus on a man that's working as hard as you want him to work, you guys. Ladies, you have the power to choose. Why are we talking about men that you're saying doesn't qualify to your standards? That's why I never understood the argument. Women are complaining about men that they don't like, but these men you don't like are men that you're not going to choose. So why do they matter? That's like me complaining about a woman saying all these baby mamas. I just don't date them.
Well.
Problem solved, right? I don't need to talk about them or bring them down. It's irrelevant.
Sela said, Black women own businesses. The screener focusing on workers, not biz owners. I think we do need more biz owners in our community, period, so we can employ ourselves.
The problem with women being biz owners, yes, they're biz owners and they're doing really great. You have a lot of women who are doing really great for themselves. The type of businesses that we need to make a difference in our community, we're not doing. We're not creating essential businesses that's going to actually build towards wealth in our community. So if you have a nail business, makeup business, skincare line, cool, you make the bag doing that, but that's only good for you and your immediate household. So again, that's okay, but you're not creating Fortune 500 companies. So let's not confuse, a guy starting a shoe line or a girl starting a makeup line, and she's selling and doing good. That's amazing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
What are some of the essential businesses that we need?
We need grocery stores. Which is actually the number one most important thing. When we had that incident with Buffalo, New York, the shooting in that, we have a lot of food deserts in our communities. So again, if we don't have grocery stores or market stores, we're not getting fresh food. We don't own any farming businesses like that. I mean, we got Black farmers, but we don't really own any to the magnitude of being able to replace food if we don't have any.
I mean, we allowed ourselves to get tricked out of our land. So I don't know
we did get tricked.
I don't know if I wouldn't know where to start on the farm. I'm just keeping it real.
We need hospitals. We need to have our own emergency services. What else is another one? They call them. We
need our own schools.
We need our own schools. And again, I think one of the biggest issues though is that we focus on individual businesses that are good for us as individuals. But we look up employment real quick.
Debbie Lowe said, while you looking it up, Debbie Lowe said, why can't we as Black women get credit for anything?
Y'all do get credit
even when we're out there doing it.
No, y'all get credit. No one is not discrediting women. The issue is in this conversation, women are trying to discredit men. That's what this whole problem is right now. We're over here comparing and contrasting. It wasn't because anybody was tearing women down. It's because you guys are tearing men down. You were saying men are not good enough. That's the reason why we're having this conversation. So I think what women are doing is amazing. So it's not the issue about what women aren't doing. It's about whether or not we can come together. Again, I think we're missing the point and it's becoming a competition versus a uniting type of conversation.
Okay. So let me ask you this. For me, you can be honest with me. What can I do to contribute? I guess I can technically start like a production company. That's not really helping the community, though.
Well, we got to ask ourselves, what is it that we need to be competitive, right?
Because I'm just thinking as far as hiring other, but technically I have employed Black people, like 3 or 4 so far. But
you saying what can you do?
Yeah, like me personally, like what could I do? I'm just putting myself out there while
I do based off of what I have skills in. So my profession and my career was in law enforcement and law. And so now I'm using that to educate our people so that we can avoid having bad encounters. Okay. I just focus on what my gifts are. I think if everybody focuses on their gift, how does that help? My focus is reforming the criminal justice system. So I'm putting my efforts in that area because that's what I specialize in. What areas are we complaining in as a community? The criminal justice system, economics. How do we fix economics? We need families. You can't do it on our own. We have to have families to build wealth. We own 1% of this nation's wealth, 1%. And we're 13% of the population.
And we spend how much?
We spend $1.6 trillion last year. So we have money, you guys, but we're just spending it in the wrong areas. We're not saving it. We're not investing it. I know for a fact that the majority of people, or half of us right now on this stream, aren't investing our money in things like stocks or what else, crypto and things of that nature. So again, how do we start getting involved in that?
You learn, you do it a little bit at a time. I guess I can say for myself, I used to work for what in Arizona we call the DCS, not DFACS.
Okay.
I did work with kids. I guess I could do like a group home. Because I know how to run those.
You could.
That can be a way of
and I would say you're doing it now. You're lending your platform out to people who have different perspectives, different opinions. You've always been very generous with bringing me on and allowing me to speak. Even if some people don't have, you know, they don't like certain things.
I do a lot of fuck shit though too.
You keep it balanced. You keep it balanced. At least it's balanced, right?
If you go to my Twitter, it's pretty.
I think the beauty of it is that you're giving a place for people to speak and have conversation, and we are learning, you know, but we got to be willing to learn, you guys. And this right here, again, when we talk about African American employment, you know, I know some things were said about employment. You guys, at the end of the day, we mirror each other, right? And income, education, we might be off 3 or 4%. It's nothing to brag about, right? Stop with 2017 data. That's the only data that they have available right now on this particular site. If we look at the updated one, you guys, it's not going to be that much of a difference. It'll probably be lower because a lot of people lost their job after COVID. But just to be, if you want, we can find people mad at the data.
But you know what's funny though? After COVID, I feel like a lot of Black people bossed up. I feel like a lot of, because we so used to going through hard times.
They don't want to see the. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. Y'all are complaining about the data, and that's another thing too. You know, more stereotypes. What assumptions, Tamika? You should have came up, sister. We could have talked about it. I think the problem is anytime you bring something. At the end of the day, you guys, the whole purpose of showing you the data was that we're not that far apart on income, education, and overall earning. We're just not. So all that rhetoric that goes out that women are out earning men to this gross amount is not true.
Well, for me, I'm gonna use some bad language that I've been drinking. I don't be knowing where the statistics be coming from. So that's why I asked you, okay, where you get your stats from?
Right.
You went there.
Right.
And so I am going to go to the census and check that out.
We can take the census before you. Someone said, she said education. So when it comes to education, Black men and Black women are equal when it comes to undergrad degrees. But when it comes to graduate degrees, Black women excel more in that area. And I think it's by maybe like, what was it, 5%?
Something like that.
5%.
Black demographics.
So, but again, at the end of the day, is it that much of a jump for us to be bragging about women being out educated? And just because you have more degrees or you have higher degrees doesn't mean you're making more money. So we got to stop all that. Again, it's very divisive talk. It's unnecessary rhetoric. And at the end of the day, we need to be talking about how we come together and fix the problem and not who has what and who doesn't have this.
Bring up Lachey T. I think she's been waiting long enough.
Oh,
yeah, down there. What's going on, Lachey?
Hey, Storm. Hey, Nate.
How you doing?
All right. How you doing? How y'all doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. So I had called the last show. You have made some good points, and it's backtracking a little bit, but
oh shoot.
We didn't knock you off. You can pull up Black Audacity while we
come on back up and say
internet drop. We didn't knock you down. Black Audacity.
Hi, Ella. Can you hear me or am I echoing?
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay, so first of all, thanks Storm for letting me up. I love your show. Secondly, well, it's a couple things. Storm and Nate. Nate.
Yes, ma'am.
It was a couple things that you said that I absolutely agreed with. It was a couple things that were said on the panel that I absolutely agree with. And there is a couple things that I absolutely don't agree with. Okay. I'll start with what I agree with. I believe that communication, I think there was a young lady, I can't remember her name. She talked about communication and leading by example. Those were absolutely great things to say. I think that those are fundamental things that we can start with within the Black community. And you stating that the divisiveness is a huge problem that is like skyrocketing within the community, which is causing a lot of the back and forths all over social media.
Correct.
So those things I can totally agree with. But I feel like because you are Black and male, you do have somewhat of implicit bias towards Black males when it comes to the actual data and the actual facts that are hindering the Black community. I believe that.
Which data specifically?
Well, I'm going to get into that.
Okay.
I'm not going to take up more than my 3 or 4 minutes. like I was saying, I think that because you are Black and male, and because Black males feel like they have been torn down, and that they are always being the spotlight is always on them, that you have an implicit bias because you are Black and male. That sort of puts blindfolds on you as to the actual issues within the Black community that Black men themselves are creating a problem. Specifically, you said that you were first talking about Russell Wilson. This is how this conversation started with part one. The conversation was, I agree with you that you said that he shouldn't be looked upon as a simp, and that he chose who he chose, and he loved her, and he should take care of her, whatnot, and so forth. But then you went on to say there was a Black male that you guys were talking about whose father had left, and he became famous. He bought his dad a truck, and you had made a statement that that people should not be so judgmental. People should not. People on the outside are looking in and making broad statements, and that this brother should absolutely be given a second chance to come back in his child's life, and people shouldn't be judgmental towards him. You also said that the manosphere, that they don't like single mothers because of the bad decisions that they make. Now, you didn't say that you agreed with that, but you said that is their core belief, that these single mothers have made a bad decision. So in the Black community, Black women aren't able to make mistakes. This single mother thing has been getting pushback for the last 40 years. This isn't something new. Black single mothers aren't able to say, well, I made a mistake, and come back in their kid's life 10, 20 years later. Whereas Black men are able to do that. People are
Let me pause you real quick. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't say that.
You didn't say which part?
In reference to, there's an issue with if a Black woman made a mistake in a child's life.
That's I'm not saying that you said that her making a mistake.
What's specific about what I said that you?
Because you said that Black men are having an issue with the fact that they feel like single mothers are making that they have made bad choices by becoming a single mother.
But that's something that they talk about. I don't subscribe to that. So I'm just explaining what I've learned from listening to some of their rhetoric that they talk about.
Right, and I feel like in the Black community that single mothers are not given an opportunity to say, well, I made a mistake, and I had this child out of wedlock, I had this child at a young age. Whereas Black men are given excuses over and over again as to why they weren't in their kids' lives, why they didn't participate. Always
I hear what you're saying.
Times the blame is put on the mother. Well, she argued too much, or she pushed me away, and
stuff.
So,
but let me say that, not mean to cut you off, but I want to touch on the things that you said earlier, and I don't want to forget. Mm-hmm. You talked about my comparison about this young man not having a fallout with his father for 7 years. And then the father coming back, and they had a discussion on that statement. It said he explained to him why they had the issues that he had and why he was absent. And that young man felt like it was okay enough for him to accept that apology and then rekindle their relationship. And what I was saying is that is on him to do that. So we don't know the ins and outs of that discussion. We don't know the story behind it. There's a multitude of things that could have took place. I have seen. I think the problem is we give the assumption that there are not bad mothers too.
And no, I don't think we give that assumption.
Because, I'm talking about in this moment, because I think there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with a woman, a mom, if she fails her children and she leaves, and then the children invite her back in and then give her love and give her that grace. I don't think there's anything wrong with that on either side.
But the thing is, when a mother is considered or viewed by society, especially in the Black community, as not doing her job or as being a bad mother or abandoning her kids, when those kids turn out to be a statistic, or turn out to go to jail, or turn out to not graduate, or turn out to have babies out of wedlock, that mother they don't blame the fathers. They solely blame the mother. So as a mother, if you choose, as a mother, if a mother was to abandon her kids for 8 years and then just come back and that child didn't live up to certain expectations in society, the mother automatically in the Black community is blamed. You hardly ever see, you always hear all over the internet, even in person, well, they're being raised by single mothers. Well, it's the mother's fault. But that's not.
But let me say this and be clear, because a lot of things that's been happening since I got on the stream have been taken out of context and have been misconstrued. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but you're not saying anything that I said. You were saying about what you've heard other people say in society, what other men have said. I'm saying you have to address the things that I have said specifically, because I can't speak for all those people that make that rhetoric. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I don't believe in that. I've never said that tonight. I don't subscribe to that. I don't believe in that at all. And so I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, people blame people all the time. Men blame women for stuff and women blame men for stuff. And a lot of times they're not accurate, right? And so that's not fair that men do that to women. And it's also not fair when women do it to men.
I believe that the community as a whole blames single mothers more than they blame anybody. And it's not just, I believe that men and women blame single mothers more, especially more so now since podcasts have been coming on. You don't hear people, you rarely see the blame put on the fathers. It's who's raising these children? What household are they coming from? Where's the mother at? But
of course, but again, what you're saying though is, and I'll give you this point. You came up and you said that you're blaming me for it as if I said those things tonight or I said them directly in these conversations, and I have not.
Well, I got something that you did say directly.
All right, I want you to tell me, but let me say this one point. If a man is raising a kid by himself and that kid turns out to be delinquent or a problem to the community, people are going to blame the parent. It doesn't matter what gender they are. They're going to blame the parent because the parent or parents are responsible for raising that child. So if the majority of the women in our community are raising kids, because that unfortunately has become the dynamic where we have over 70% of Black women are raising children out of wedlock.
And that's a statistic that I heard you throw out that is inaccurate.
How is it inaccurate?
So the actual statistic is that there are 68% of Black children who are born out of wedlock.
Yes.
And that is to mothers who actually have children. So 70% of Black women are not having children out of wedlock. Because
no. I said 70% of kids that are being born in our communities, over 70% are being born out of wedlock.
And you also said in part one, because I have it on my phone, I recorded it, that 70% of, and that may have been like a slip up, but you said that means 70% of Black women are having kids out of wedlock. And that's
I meant the women. It's 70% of the kids being born the Black community are being born out of wedlock.
See, but if you say the 70% of the women, people misconstrue that as 70% of the women in totality. And
I apologize. That wasn't if it came off that way, I apologize. That wasn't my the statistic, the data is the women who were having children, 70% of those who were having children had children out of wedlock. That's the data.
It's 68%. But a lot of those women are engaged or with the father. So as far as the upbringing of the children, on the CDC, the upbringing of children in the Black household, because I like to get accurate information out there, that 51% are being raised without both parents. Because a lot of, we all know in Black households, a lot of times there's a long relationship that is not actually a marriage, but the parents are still together or the relationship is still happening. So they're living together for a long period of time.
The part that the data doesn't account for is co-parenting. So there's a percentage that's actually co-parenting. The data that is used, they're referring to marriage.
Oh, I know what I'm married, so I know what a single mother is, because when I first had my child, we weren't married and now we are married. So initially I was considered a single mother, even though we were living together. And now that we're married, I'm not. So I know what the actual data is, but people will use that data and say these children, 68% of Black children are being raised with only a mother, and the
that's not
data
accurate.
doesn't say that they are being raised. They say that they're
Correct.
being born into a house.
Correct.
They're being born out of wedlock at a 68%
Correct.
rate. It doesn't say that they're being raised. So it's so much misleading information out there.
Yes.
People just run with it.
Well, and why is that? And this is what I said earlier, because again, I did not use it in that context. The problem is we have people in this space who are talking about things they're not qualified to talk about, one, and then they're using these things to weaponize their argument. Because what are they saying? They're saying women are the problem, and here's why they're their problem. So when you take data and statistics out of context, you can use it to actually support your argument. And that's not what we're doing here tonight. And so I think, to your point, unfortunately, yes, we have people blaming women for things that's not 100% their fault. What people are blaming for, whoever is a parent and they're parenting children, they're going to hold the parent accountable, period. It doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man. What goes on in our community that's incorrect and that's actually dysfunctional, that's something that we got to correct in general anyway. You cannot.
And the thing is that children need to be raised within a village atmosphere. So when you have men and the adult men saying, getting on the internet or in person saying F those children, because I don't hear women saying that. I hear the men saying.
Well, but again. Wait.
Who said that those children? Hold. Who said?
Oh, that was a big thing. The manosphere was saying F those children. So
talking about. I think what she's referring to is when men are dating women who have kids and they don't want the responsibility of those children, right? Is that what you're referring to?
I don't know what context exactly they meant it in. They were just putting it, making memes that were saying "fuck those children."
Well, see, listen, but here's the problem, though. Black audacity. I can't speak to the immaturity of other men, right? We can call it out. I don't agree with that. That's
why I just wanted to finish my point. I didn't say that you agreed to it. What I'm saying is when you said that the parent that is raising the child is blamed, but the thing is, when you children need to be raised within a village atmosphere. I have in my.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
The Buffalo, New York shooter, the white kid, the white young man who went up to Buffalo and shot all those black people in the grocery store. Who did the black community blame for why he did that?
The black community. I'm not exactly for sure who the black community blame, but what I can tell you,
who do people blame when their child comes out their house with a gun and they go and kill people?
What I'm gonna say is the white community, which this person came from, this young adult male came from, they are not blaming his mother. The black community has. No, they're not. They're blaming mental illness.
They're blaming.
I thought black people blame this mother though because
I know that black people do because black people have made a habit of just blaming the mother.
But she also knew that motherfucker was crazy too.
They blame the parents. We gotta stop pretending. They blame the parents. He has a mother and a father. They blamed his parents. And I've done extensive research on it, and so
I've done research. I read on it too, and I won't say even that white people weren't even claiming him because he's Latino. Black people we differentiate between black and white Latinas. White people, if you're a Mexican, they do not claim you. So he was a Latina. His mother got had an interview. She couldn't even speak English, so they don't even claim him as being a white person.
I'm talking about the New York shooter, not the
Buffalo person was a Latina, was a white Latina. His mother, he was living with his grandmother because his parents were they had drug problems. And his Latina mother barely speak English. She had made an interview and they were translating it, but he's
parents are engineers.
He's a Latino.
But Black Audacity, we did definitely blame his mother.
No, I know black people did. I'm saying black people do because black people have been taught to blame mothers. When white people go out like Dylan Roof, when white people go out and commit.
Uvalde is the Texas shooter.
What was in
She's
New York?
Talking about
New York, it was Tops.
The New York was Tops grocery store.
Okay.
Both his parents are like engineers. They blamed his parents.
White people rarely ever blame white people and their parents for mass shootings. They will normally say it's a mental health illness. That's the first thing that they go into, is it must be a mental health issue.
But that's still kind of blaming the home, though, right? Like I don't think.
I mean, I'm a psych nurse. That's not actually blaming the home.
Hold on. I don't think white people blame the race, but saying like, oh, well, he must be mentally ill. That's pretty much kind of insinuating it came from the parents, so too, right?
Yeah,
no, I'm a psych nurse. It doesn't.
Or the environment.
What white people will do is they will say the system failed because the mental health, they didn't get this boy help. The school system, the counselors at the school didn't help him. He was bullied at school. They will go into a whole diatribe of different things that led up to this child or this adult male doing this. They don't just go directly to, oh, it's the mother's fault, whereas they do that in the Black community.
Well, and that's why I don't like getting into this comparison, because at the end of the day, it actually doesn't equate or mean anything, right? The reality is when I'm investigating crimes, I talk to the parents. The parents are mad at themselves and they feel like they failed their child. That's what I'm talking about. I don't like getting into this.
I feel like I absolutely the parents hold blame.
Black audacity, we do have to move on though, because we've been on this for a minute. So we do.
Okay, can I say one more thing to him?
One more thing.
Okay, so Nate, another thing I was saying about that implicit bias is that you were saying that that Black women, you were like, well, if the man doesn't meet your qualifications, then move on. I feel like, yes, that is true, that if a man is not meeting your qualifications, absolutely move on. I feel like Black women spend too much time dealing in dirt. But when Black men aren't, instead of
why is there a but though?
Can I finish?
You can't love.
They spend too much time dealing in relationships that aren't working. I'll just leave it at that. But when you as a Black man say, well, just don't choose them, just move on, instead of saying, yeah, we do as Black men have a shortage of qualified
that's not true.
Black men but actually stats say that we do. Stats all over. You can
because it depends on how you define quality. Are you basing it off of how do you define a quality man? Because
there are actual stats that say that Black women date down more than any other race of women, because Black women, and you were making false statements about school, and Black women go to school a lot more than Black men. It's not 5%. Black women go to school a lot more than Black men. We need to pull up those stats. Black women graduate.
We can pull them up. I was referring to the data that was presented on the
the Black demographics is actually a bias demographics that is made by one Black man, and he also has implicit bias. It is not factual. And I would not go by that. I would actually go by CDC and actual FBI database. So Black,
and we're gonna save that. And actually, Black Audacity, we're gonna save that for the next stream.
We'll bring all the
data. We'll bring all
your data. Bring it all.
We're gonna cross-examine, cross-interview. I'm hungry, so I can't think now.
I'm gonna say
thank Black Audacity.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one now.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
All right now. Yeah, I'm hungry. Nigga hungry now.
Good. She agreed. But
we did first. Well, the first issue is we mixed up. She mixed up shooting. She got me confused too. I was like, wait, what? What's sad is we had so many mass shootings back to back.
That's very true. That's very true. But when you tell someone they're wrong and you're not listening, and I'm trying to tell her that she was wrong, she wasn't. Again, we're
gonna pull up these stats next stream. I'm bringing you back. We're gonna pull up these.
We're gonna pull it up.
All right, Lachey, you had got kicked off last time, so we bring you back up. Can you hear us?
Yes. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry about that. I might have hit the leave button. I don't know. But yeah, so Nate, good points. You made some good points earlier. I saw a lot of mixed opinions in the chat, but I do agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think we need more of that. A lot of points you made, I do agree. It's a lot of young men without fathers that are not hearing stuff like that. And I know a lot personally, and they need to hear a lot of the points you made. So Storm, like your platform is helpful. You were saying, how can you help bringing people on, different people talking about stuff like this, offering your platform, and the things you say will educate and help inform, and then we're learning. The parents are learning if we don't already know this or whatever. So that's one thing. Two, earlier when I had called in, it's backtracking a little bit, but I have seen both sides. I do understand men and women as well that have like been the cause of a relationship ending or been a problem in the marriage or the relationship. You know, a lot of guys have came to me for counseling, advice or whatever, family members or whatnot, and some of the things they were complaining about and opening up to me about or whatever is, you know, I'm like, yeah, I can see it being the woman. Sometimes it's obviously, I know the woman and she's obviously the problem, and I'm, you know, advising her on what she should change or correct about herself. So it's definitely, it goes both ways. A lot of times it's a lot of irresponsible men, but there are quite a few women as well. We get sensitive about it, but no, we're not perfect. You know, it's a lot of women and a ton of men. So it goes back to upbringing and your environment, and your home environment plays a role. And some men can come out great with one parent in the household, and you know, some women come out horrible if their mom wasn't there. And their emotion, you know, they're very mean and cold, and I see that a lot too. So it goes both ways. Another point I wanted to, and it could be different reasons. It could be upbringing, trauma, like that's a whole nother thing. But I think we all need to hold accountability for what's wrong with us and know how to conduct ourselves in relationship and what our role is in the relationship. And a lot of women and men don't know this. It goes both ways.
Yes.
And then another thing with the fathers having the kids.
Real quick, before you say that, the father part, why is it that as men, I'm okay saying that there's dusty men out here. There's a lot of dusty dames out here, right? A lot of men out here that are dusty. This is true. Why is it so hard to say there's some dusty diamonds, right? We got dusty diamonds out here too. So why is it so hard for us to accept that? There's dusties on both sides. You got dusty women getting with dusty men, and they're having dusty babies, causing a whole you get what I'm saying? It's a whole circus.
I've seen it a lot. And you know, I love my sisters. I love Black women, and women get real sensitive. We can get real sensitive. I'm not that way. I was like, my dad talked to me a lot growing up. I was almost like a tomboy, totally the opposite now. Like I talk to the fellas, talk to my uncles, talk to my cousins, still to this day. Talk to the fellas. I like talking to the fellas more than I like females can be dramatic and messy, and you know, but there are some women that I do love, but I can see them almost being like overly sensitive when it comes to men saying that, because I hear exactly what you say and I don't misconstrue what you're saying. You know, I because people can do that sometimes, even with me, and I'm like, that's not what I just said. But I do hear you. I might not agree with a point, but I don't think it's like women bashing. But I haven't caught like other shows you've done. But as far as what I'm hearing tonight, and I caught like bits and pieces, I might have missed a little. But I'm not hearing that. But some women are scarred. Some of us are scarred. Some men are scarred. Some men don't want to hear it. They don't want a woman therapist. But I don't have a problem with it because it's the truth. I've seen it. I've heard complaints. I've seen it. I've had, you know, brothers and cousins, and I've seen women act really ratchet, they would call it. We are not perfect. I have seen it.
I've seen it too.
I've seen it. And it's sad when they raise a son and they're doing everything under the sun in that house in front of them boys. And then they go out there and they disrespect women. They look at women like y'all ain't nothing because that's what they were raised under. Like, we got to face the fact. And that goes on a lot. You got trifling mothers. You got trifling dads. Like, we can't be sensitive because everybody need to get their role together. It's not a sex. It's not all men. It's not all women. And it's not all dads that can be responsible. And you know, you can send your kid with your dad. Some of these dads might end up getting your kid shot if they out here sticking up or selling drugs or whatever. Next day, why my son want to sell drugs? Why my son, or y'all done got the car shot up and your son in there. Like, some dads don't need the kids. It depends on the person. You have to really be careful who you have your kids with in the first place. You have to be selective. If you have a slip up, like, you have to use your own judgment, and you really have to know, is your kid safe? Just because it's the dad doesn't mean he's responsible. We don't need to hold the kids away from a responsible man, but you have to know if it's some dads holding it down because the mom's irresponsible, and it's moms out here. Mom just got 40 years for selling her kid for some heroin, like it, and that's not nothing new. That's still going on. So if it goes.
Yeah, I was going to say the biggest problem. I want to hear what you're going to say about that. You said you're going to say something about the men, but one of the biggest issues I see is that I could spend an hour talking about how bad the men are. That's not a problem. The moment I say one thing about what women need to do, I become public enemy. Yeah. The reality of the situation, you guys, for everybody listening, I'm an equal opportunist. Both sides have to get it together for this to work. It's not a man's fault. It's not the woman's fault. It's our fault. We all hold a responsibility to fix this problem. And we're too busy trying to blame somebody when, we can run this thing all the way back to the chicken or the egg. You're not going to have an answer for me. We both need to get it together. So, to your point, what was that piece? I stopped you before.
That's okay. The man, oh my goodness. We have some, irresponsible men. We have the irresponsible women. Dang, I can't think of where I was at. Think of where I was at.
That was on me. I'm sorry. You was rolling too.
Oh my God. But yeah, like, you just have to be careful just because it's some responsible fathers out here, and it's some you just can't say, well, yeah, every son does need to learn man things from the man. We can't teach everything, but if you are a single mom, like, try your best. You can have a good role model and for your child, and you have to be careful with that, because we can go on and on, like, just because it's a brother or uncle, like, it doesn't mean. You have to be careful who you send your child to. Even sometimes, unfortunately, the dad, because just because he's the dad doesn't mean he's responsible or a good influence. And just because it's the mom, unfortunately, some dads, I know a couple dads that had to take over and raise the kids because the mom wants to be out there and party. Like, so it goes both ways. Unfortunately, but we have to learn how to be responsible parents. And I know when you bring up women being irresponsible, you get attacked. I've noticed that black men getting attacked anytime they try to give advice.
One more thing, and we got to wrap it up.
Okay. Yep, I have noticed that too, Nate. But that's really all I wanted to say. But I do definitely recognize that it is both. We do have some women out here, and we do have some men, and we just have to create better environments and have more shows like this and educate our kids and children on its upbringing. It's the environment, and it's what you see, what you watch, what influences, but it's definitely not just the men.
Facts. What's funny?
And I'm a black female, but I'm one that communicates, like, with my dad, talk to me a lot. So, like, and my uncles, so I definitely get it. I almost think like a guy. So I definitely get both sides, but I'm definitely all women, and I definitely empathize with women as well. I cry with my ladies too. Like, I understand both sides.
Well, thank you, Lachey.
You're welcome.
Take care now.
Y'all have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye. What's funny is she reminds me, like, I see the women in the chat, they're kind of trying to diss her, trying to clown her because she's
they're saying,
it's so sad. It's like,
well, one thing they do say too is they say stop calling us females. So
male, female, what's wrong with that?
But the women say is we don't really say males, but we will say females quick. And if you say female, it's kind of like dehumanizing. Because anything can be, like, any species.
Say all that overthinking. We're overthinking it. You know, we're overthinking if you look at every situation as a problem, you're always going to have a complaint. And that's our issue right now. A man can't say something without you thinking that it's a diss or it's an attack. I could just simply be expressing something, and instead of challenging what I'm expressing, you want to come with an insult or a disrespect. So again, when you're triggered, when you're emotionally hurt, when you suffered some type of trauma, it's hard to even get advice from men or from women, because this is the same thing that what's that lady, Ayanna Van Zandt, right?
Yeah, Iyanla, yeah.
Iyanla Van Zandt. What's the other lady? She was a dating coach or something for women. She would
Rebecca Lynn Pope.
Rebecca Lynn Pope. What did she say? She said the same thing that she mirrored a lot of complaints that she heard men saying that the women are very difficult to deal with, black women.
Well, I will say she changed her rhetoric.
That's because people dragged her.
Oh, okay.
But let's be real. What did she say initially?
Initially,
she said what?
Yeah.
That black, and this isn't all black women. We always got to make these caveats. But Rebecca Lynn Pope made a statement as saying she was trying to bring black women together with successful black men, and they were still complaining and not satisfied. She's a relationship coach for women.
Yeah, she quit.
She quit. And then what's the other black lady did it too? She quit too. She had it in with Kevin Samuels on something not too long ago. Black lady, she's on Facebook a lot. But she had got.
You're not talking about April Mason.
April Mason.
Okay.
Did April Mason quit? She quit her dating business because she said black women were difficult to deal with.
She does something else now.
And she does something else now.
By the way, she was really nice in person. I met her in Miami.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she was really nice. But yeah.
So, again, men aren't just making this up. And I think the problem is, if you refuse to listen, then that's on you, right? If you don't want to listen, for those who are listening are going to have the outcomes they desire. If not, then that's your personal business. I encourage everybody, men and women, go to where you're appreciated. Go to where you're loved and respected. No one is forcing you to be with a black man. You can be with whatever man you want, or you can be by yourself. That's a personal choice. But if you complain about it and you start asking certain questions and people point it out, then you need to take.
But you know what's interesting too? I know it's so sad. I just think, why is it so hard to date? Let's just end on this.
Why is it so hard to date? It
really shouldn't be this hard to date. Like, we really shouldn't have to have full panels and like scientific breakdowns of how to just get out and talk to people.
That's it.
Get out, talk to people, smell good, don't be weird.
Let me tell you what it is. Entitlement and unrealistic expectations on both sides, men and women.
Because a lot of men do try to go out of their league.
Absolutely.
Which you can shoot your shot.
You can shoot your shot, but you need to stay in your level.
General,
stay in your level.
Yeah.
So again, the problem is entitlement from men and women and unrealistic expectations, and people who don't know how to communicate, and people who over evaluate themselves all the time. And then you don't know how to actually interact with another person. And so you walk around here thinking that, you're holier than thou, your shit don't stink. And you want everybody to acquiesce to you because you look attractive or you have money. Usually women, it's that they're attractiveness, men, it's the money. And their ego gets into play. That's why this thing is so harder than it should be.
Because it shouldn't be. But then you got a good point. We don't know how to communicate because we live in times where I don't really have to interact with anybody.
Nope.
So then when you force to, it's like,
what are you about?
We all confused. I would love to have a panel on different communication styles and how to properly communicate. I'm going to leave it there. Tell the people where they can find you. He'll be back because we're going to have him debate Cynthia G.
Yeah, so listen, you guys. I know this is a little rough start, but I think over time, you guys will learn to love me. So please check out my channel, Real Nathan Daley. I don't get a chance to talk about these topics, but I do talk about the criminal justice system. Yes. I do talk about law enforcement. I do talk about fixing the law enforcement issue and also how our community can have better relationships with the police. So with that, man, listen, Storm, brother, good, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for your patience. I know this was it was a tough conversation.
Listen, we got to do different things. We can't always do the same thing. And you want somebody with opposing opinions.
Right.
You don't have to agree. we just have to like be respectful.
We just gotta be respectful.
Like
yeah. No echo chambers. We just respectfully have good
and no hard feelings.
And no hard feelings.
Even if you don't agree with somebody, no hard feelings. No hard feelings.
No hard feelings, y'all. Shout out to Holy. What's her name?
Oh, damn, I forgot. It's Holy something.
Holy. Shout out to the Holy Lady from Holy earlier. Bless her heart. Shout out to her. Shout out to you, Donna. I appreciate.
I'm gonna get an email about that. You called her unholy so many times. You guys, make sure you're on my text list 678-679-6077, and I will catch you guys later. All right, we go in that. This was